So the following is a conversation I have with Kyle O'Connell. Kyle is somebody that is a coworker of mine. Especially due to COVID, we don't actually work together. Kyle's the safety director at my work. He's on the road a lot, and then I'm working from home. So we don't actually see each other very much, mostly at company get-togethers. I got to say, in my experience with Kyle, and part of the reason I wanted to have him on this podcast was Kyle's a very positive kind of person. You can clearly tell he's physically fit and works hard at staying fit. But I was very interested in talking to him about his positivity and, his fitness. He's in the Guard, so I wanted to learn about his military experience, his career as a safety director. He's literally one of the top safety directors in our country. He's done some great things there. And, this is my first podcast kind of out of the people I know very well. My very first podcast was with my cousin, who him and I talk a lot, so we're very comfortable talking together. My second podcast was with my father, who obviously I'm comfortable talking with. Kyle's the first person I've kind of reached out to that isn't somebody I know very well. And I really didn't know how the conversation was going to go. I got to say I'm very proud of the conversation him and I did. I'm very grateful for him being willing to join me and on this little adventure. Myself, I'm more introverted. Talking like this isn't something that comes completely comfortable to me. But I like the idea of kind of getting to know people better. I think all of us could get to know more perspectives better. It'll make us all better. And like I said, I'm very appreciative of Kyle doing this. And I hope you like my conversation I had with him. So thanks and enjoy. Kyle.
Ben.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So my first two podcasts, there was one thing I wanted to get to and I never got to. And it's kind of like, I think probably the thing that probably connects everybody I'm going to have on here is positivity.
Yep.
And I would think, when I think of you, that's one of the first things I think of.
Well, thanks. I like that.
I don't know the rest of your life, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think you're a pretty positive guy. Where do you think that comes from?
Oh, man. That's a good question.
Right.
That's a good question. I appreciate you saying that I'm a positive guy. I try to be a positive guy. Right. I try to be a half glass full. Glass half full.
I can go either way. As long as you're, glass half full. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not empty.
Yeah. I try to be like that. Both my parents are pretty positive people. My dad is a super positive guy. Whereas you could put him in an absolute pile of shit.
Right.
And he would. Can we swear in this podcast?
Yeah.
And he would find a way to make somebody laugh or smile about it, and then just be like, oh well, what else are you gonna do? You gotta deal with it.
Right.
So I think maybe it comes from that, and then also comes from, I've had rough times in life and I've had good times in life, and I think I've worked on being able to embrace the good times,
right,
and just be positive about it.
Yeah. No, I personally think it. What good does being negative do to you?
Does absolutely nothing
right.
for you. That's one of my pet peeves is when people are complaining about stuff. And actually, it's funny because do you have Facebook?
Yeah, I don't really use it, but
So Facebook has memories that every day you have memories from different posts or different interactions you've had. And I look at my memories all the time because I always have pictures of the kids,
right,
or funny things with my friends. And a Facebook status I had from 2012 was. Unless you're handicapped, take the stairs. Right. It just cracked me up because it was I think about that stuff all the time. I see little videos of kids that, have cerebral palsy or something and they can't walk, or one kid pushed his brother that had to be in a wheelchair during a marathon. And it's Jesus, I was just about to complain about my day because my back is sore.
Right.
And it's you get mad at yourself. You're how dare I get upset at this when there's other people that can't even walk. Right. So I think that has to do with just being able to be grateful for what you can do and what you do have.
And those people tend to be the happiest people too. The ones that are disadvantaged a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally lost my train of thought there. So when you so obviously you get down. We all do.
Yeah.
Do you have to because I've never seen you. We work together
now because of COVID, we're not
Right.
together anymore.
Right.
And even then, we weren't interacting a lot. But I never saw you kind of down. Do you find yourself having to, when you're having a bad day, check it at the door, or
Yeah. So one of the things that in my group of friends and family, I've always been known to have a temper.
Really?
Short fuse, and I've been like that since I was a little kid, but I have worked on it. I think that I've harnessed it and turned it into like a chip on my shoulder. But I'd be lying to you if I said I don't have, down days, or if I still don't lose my temper, which I still try to work on, especially now being a dad.
Right.
But one thing, my wife and I, we went to marriage counseling a couple years ago. Not because we thought we were going to get a divorce, but we just wanted to work on communication with each other. Right. And I also think, going to therapy doesn't have to have a bad rep. But one of the things the counselor said was like, it's okay to tell yourself, hey, Kyle, get over yourself. And it was like, yeah, that's kind of a good, if you're feeling down, grow up, get over yourself. It's okay to feel down, but, get up and move on. Right. So I think I have moments where I get down, but other than that, usually I can just pick up the phone and call someone and have a conversation, or I can listen to music or listen to a podcast and turn it around. Going to the gym, going for a run, walking my dog, that stuff turns it around for me. Or when I come home from work and my son sprints to the door and my daughter tries to sprint to the door and my dog sprints to the door. I mean, that's a pretty good feeling. If you can't smile at that stuff, then maybe you got something else going on. But
yeah, I'm always telling Dee that my workouts, I feel like a better person. Like it just takes the edge off everything.
It does.
Like the morning was miserable. The rest of the day is freaking easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you work out first thing in the morning, or do you wait till?
my schedule's got a little insane lately, but yes, I've always worked out morning.
Yeah.
But I've started to add in kind of day, afternoon, whenever I can.
Multiples throughout the day.
Because I'm trying to achieve things that my body doesn't want to achieve.
Yeah. I always feel. I try to work out in the morning, and I definitely make excuses to not work out in the morning. And those excuses are usually like my son or my daughter didn't sleep good at night, and I'm on 4 hours of sleep, and I'm like, I could probably use the extra 2 hours of sleep so I can function at work, and I'll try to get a workout in the afternoon. But I feel like crap, whether or not I'm tired or just because I haven't worked out. And then I'll try to squeeze in a workout in the afternoon, and maybe something will come up and I can't fit it in, and then I feel like crap. Right. And then I'll put my kids to bed, and then I'll sit on the couch and be like, all right, now I can do a quick workout, or maybe skip it. I feel like crap. But when I do it in the morning, I feel so much more energized. I feel so much more positive. I feel better about myself. I feel like I look better. I feel like I'm a hand talker.
So am I.
I'm a wicked.
That's why I'm sitting like
talker.
this, so I'm not in range.
I'm a wicked hand talker. So I try to get there. In the morning.
Right.
But luckily at work, they're really good about, as long as you do your job, you make time to get to the gym and do that.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite workouts are always the ones where I don't want to go though.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like literally.
Like when it's cold in bed and you feel comfortable.
And I've been running some stupid distances lately, or like last year, all winter long, just going out and just like, I know I can hear the sleet.
Yeah.
I'm like, I still don't. I must stay here in bed where it's warm on my way.
Yeah.
But then when I get up and do it, I'm pumped after.
Yeah. Once you get going, once you get running, So will you run right here, right on this road?
Pretty much.
And then you've been doing like 50-mile runs.
Yes. So I've done 3 50-milers.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So my cousin, the first podcast I did, him and I are trying to do a 100-mile run. And a year ago, marathon was still like, I was not confident. That distance kicked my butt. Like it was brutal the first time I did it. And even after I did my first Ironman, which had the marathon at the end, like it fell apart. That like I had no confidence.
Yeah.
Then he started a podcast and he had me as his first guest, which he's never released.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What's he waiting on?
He wants to do a lot more, and he hasn't been able to fit it in his schedule for the most part. It's just one or two that he's done. But he told me about ultra marathons. Literally, I didn't even wasn't really aware that ultra marathons are a real thing, or if I did.
What is an ultra marathon?
Anything over a marathon distance, technically.
Oh.
But it's usually like 50 miles, 75 miles, 100 kilometers. 100 miles and beyond.
Yep.
There's Courtney DeWalter does like and campaigns do like 250 miles. Yeah.
I feel like your feet would bleed.
Oh my gosh.
And then you just push through it.
And they're pushing the sleep part. The sleep's the part that really gets him.
Yeah.
So he kind of told me about that, and he was telling me how he wanted to start doing ultras, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Like marathon kicks my butt, but once I started aiming beyond marathon, then marathon became not so bad.
Yeah.
But I keep injuring myself too. So.
Well, I've been doing that too. Kind of frustrating. I'm not doing 50-mile runs. I'm kind of doing something different. I've put on like 25 pounds since the spring, and I've decided to eat. I'm not eating perfect, but I'm eating a lot, and obviously protein is the major course of meal here. But the heavier I'm getting, the stronger I'm getting. I feel really good, and then I started to hit this point where I was like, I used to be able to just hop on the treadmill and go, and I would stretch after my workout. Now all of a sudden, I'm pulling my Achilles there on my left foot. That takes 2 weeks for me to heal, and I'm doing like the E-stem therapy, ice, heat, stretch, and then I wake up and my left knee is swollen, and I'm like, I never have. I didn't even do anything. I didn't slip and fall. I didn't twist it. I'm not playing basketball. I'm not playing football. And then that takes some time, and I'm just doing upper body, and then I heal up. And then I start running again. I feel good. Do legs, running. And then when I went to Orlando for work, my wife and I went to the gym Saturday morning, and I start running, and my right Achilles completely pops like half a mile into a jog on the treadmill. And I was telling myself, maybe it'll work itself out of it. I got to like 3/4 of a mile, and I was like, I have to stop. And I was limping for like 3 days. And I was like, it's got to be. And then like I was stretching my hamstring in there, and right over there, and I was like, I must be carrying around too much weight. Like I don't think my body's made to. I don't think my frame is made to carry around this much weight. But it feels so good to go into the gym and like lift weight that I've never lifted before, and like feel strong. But now I'm not doing as many HIIT workouts as I used to, and those are the ones that feel like I'm really kicking my butt the most. And I feel like if I went and worked like that right now, I would probably tear my ACL.
Yeah, I'm literally dealing with the Achilles thing right now. Like, so I haven't when I do like 50-mile runs, those are like I'm training for that. You know, not like workouts. But I did. So part of JT sent me a plan, my cousin there, and it's doing 30. So a 30-mile run, then a 20-mile run, back to back, like Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. Ooh.
And the idea is, which is, it's kind of cool. Your fast twitch muscles are working on that first day. The second day, you have no fast twitch muscles. Like, it's crazy. That second day, I can't get under an 11-minute mile for the life of me.
Right.
Like I'm just, but it feels actually really good. Yeah. I'll even think I'm going at a pretty fast pace, and my watch clicks on it.
No kidding.
And then, so I did that. And then we do a 100-mile week.
Ooh.
So I did that once, and then it's like a week off.
Yep.
Or a light week, which ended up being 70 miles. And then I was doing it again, and that first I did 30, 20, 18, and the next day I heard it. Just going up a hill, just really easy. I felt it just. And
well, that's probably, do you feel like that's directly correlated to just hammering down?
Overuse.
Yeah.
I think my calves at that point are so tired and so just nothing left in them.
Yep.
That then then the Achilles is having to take on more than it should.
Yep.
So I think it's slightly different than what you were saying. But Evan, so my daughter's boyfriend Evan, who he just did his second basic this summer, and he had been bulking up for the last 2 years, and he was getting pretty big. And he started building up as basic was coming up closer, and he started getting shin splints and knee issues. And then since he's been back, he wants to do Millinocket Marathon with us.
Yep.
And he lost about 15, 20 pounds during basic.
Yep.
And now he's lighter. He's having no shin issues, and he's like, it's not so much that I'm not running. You know, part of it's obviously being in better shape from basic, but he thinks it's the weight.
Carrying around too much weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think certain frames are just made to carry a certain amount of weight.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The Achilles thing. The one thing I haven't done this. So Jeff, my oldest, is a physical therapist. Yeah. So it's like I'm on constantly bugging him.
Oh yeah.
And I'm probably gonna misquote him here, so he'll be pissed at me when he hears this. But stretching, when you injure your tendon, if you're stretching it, you can further irritate it.
Yeah.
Which makes the recovery longer. And he showed me an exercise where you like stand up on your tippy toes and kind of let yourself down.
Yep.
And it's amazing how quickly that makes things better.
Oh wow. So if you're standing on it,
so
it's kind of you can feel the tightness.
So you use your good leg to get up on your tippy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then you're just on one. I go on one foot and just control myself down.
Yep.
And then stand up and do sets of 10 of those, like 3 in a day.
I was actually wondering about that. Like I was stretching in a ton, and I'm like, I wonder if I'm furthering.
I know.
Injuring this
I was stretching the crap. So the first time I had this injury, literally a year ago, I was out for a month.
Yeah.
I mean, from like the injury to like a week of kind of what can I do, pushing it and trying to run on it. And it feels good when I'm running. And then it finally. Then I was stretching the crap out of it, and it definitely was not getting better. And I finally was like, Jeff, what am I doing? He's like, do this exercise.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think I've heard is when you injure something, stretch above and below what you hurt, not the thing.
Yep, I've heard that too.
Yeah,
I've heard that too.
I haven't run that one by him yet.
No,
I've been going by it.
Yeah. Do you do like ice baths and things?
I wish I had an ice bath.
Yeah, same.
So we have the sauna up here, and that's the one thing I love, an ice plunge.
Yeah, I know. I do the cold shower thing.
In the winter, it's awesome because we just walk out into the snow.
Right.
You know, and I'll hit. Do you do cold showers normally?
Normally, I do a cold shower. I'll do like first thing in the morning. I'll do like 20 seconds of a cold shower, and I don't know if it's good for me or bad for me or whatever, but it wakes me up, and then I get the hot water, and I just feel really good. And I come out and I feel good. It's just like we'll go to camp in the summertime, and we'll drink a little bit at night, and we'll eat some crappy food at night. And I wake up in the morning, and I'm usually the first one awake of everybody at camp, and I feel like crap because I ate food I normally wouldn't eat and drank more than I normally drink. And I'll jump in the lake, and it's usually cold. It's near Moose River, and I'll hop in the lake, go under, swim a little bit in the shock, and then I come out and I feel like a new man.
That's awesome.
I literally feel like a brand new man. I'm sure half of it's mental, but I think a lot of it has to do with that.
So I decided I was going to do cold. So it's why JT and I have had all these conversations where he tried cold showers once and bailed. So I tried it.
Yeah.
And I found do you go full cold?
Oh yeah, right on blast.
See, I was doing like lukewarm and then build up to cold.
Yeah.
But I would do the whole shower cold. I liked it, but I also missed enjoying showers.
Well, I just do it in the beginning, and then I get a nice shower at the end. I also shower before bed. I love showering before bed, and I'll do like a cold shower before bed, and then get into like my comfy warm bed and lay down, and I just feel like as relaxed as I could be.
I think there's something about like it's developing mental toughness in a way. You know, like it's kind of like what I said before. Like if your workout's hard, the rest of the day's easy. You know, and it's. I mean, I find myself I'm starting to become kind of this fitness path that I've been on.
Yeah.
More attracted to hard things.
Yep.
And being uncomfortable.
Yep.
Because comfort leads to bad.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't.
Yep. You're absolutely
it doesn't
right.
do you much good.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of like what's. I heard I think it was on maybe Rogan, a scientist talking about how we have pleasure constantly at our hands.
Yeah.
We can always be entertained. We can always. And she was saying we need to be more alone in our thoughts and alone and she literally said the words, we need to suffer more.
Yeah.
And she was just saying being alone is enough suffering, but taking it the other even further.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love when we get out of the sauna and I come down and then cold shower after that.
Yeah, that's a shock on the body.
I love that.
But that was like, did you ever do that as a kid? Like you'd be in a hot tub and then you jump out, roll around in the snow, and then jump back in the hot tub?
So I was on the swim team for years, and we'd always do angels in the snow.
Yeah.
So jump out of the pool, do our.
It was a lot easier back then, though. For some reason, it was a lot easier.
Right.
Like I feel like it's like way more cold now.
Yeah, I do remember. The seniors would always get the freshmen to jump out when it was like icy and be like, "You're going first, there's snow angels," and get all pumped up and scrape up backs.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, and then jumping back in the pool, how pleasurable that was.
Oh yeah. My dad actually does. Have you heard of the polar plunge?
Yes.
For Camp Capella?
Yes.
He does that every year.
Really?
Yep, jumps in. He's like 60, 61, 62 this year. And he does that. He's been doing that for years. And he's always said, like, no matter, like, we'd be at a football game and it's freezing. He's like, it's all in your head. It's all in your head. That's what he always says. I've always said that too, even though I know it's not all in my head, but I just try to.
Well, there's Wim Hof. He's a breathing kind of guy. And
Okay,
he has,
yep.
He has like the world record for the longest ice. Like he's stayed in ice longer than anybody else.
You care if I take this?
No.
Okay. No worries. Thanks. Bye. Trying to close on land like next week. So that was the Katahdin Federal.
Like for your house?
Yeah. Finally. There was a lien on that piece of property from 1998 or 2002 or something. And it started out as like $28,000, $25,000, and then this stuff can be in the. I don't care if that's in the video, but
I find it interesting.
it was some pool guy who owned a pool company. He built a pool and didn't finish the pool, so they sued him. Didn't pay the money, so then the court took land from him because there was a lien. They put a lien on the land,
Right.
and then a bunch of other people built houses on that subdivision, and then a bunch of other developers bought it, handshake deals, cash and handshake deals, and split the land up. I tried to get a clean title on that piece of property, that 12 and a half acres, and then one title company said no, there's a lien on it. Another title company said no, it's free and clear, and then two other title companies both said the same thing. No, you can't buy it, or yeah, you can buy it, but you won't get a mortgage on it. You won't get a clean title on it.
Right.
And then vice versa. So then we called the lady and we were like, hey, what's it going to take to get a release on this lien? Offered some money. They said no. 3 attorneys later, 4 title companies later, we finally agreed on a lump sum of money. And then, so they're still suing the rest of the development that have houses on it and are currently building houses, but we're going to get a partial release on our land. So a year and a half ago, we were ready to buy it and build.
Right.
When building was $100,000 cheaper. So now, fast forward to 2021, we're ready to build next week. So.
Thank you, COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wim Hof he's a breathing expert. He's like I said, he has like a world record for the longest underwater, and apparently they've done tests on him, like when he's in water, like he can control his body temperature through breathing.
Wow.
He can control his. He says his immune system.
So he keeps his head above water, and then he's in water, and he can control his temperature
just completely calm, and yeah,
that's impressive.
I've seen a little bit of him. It's
Are you good at that with nose breathing?
I tried. I don't know.
I'm not good at that, and I know I should be better at it. But I watch a couple of videos of a couple different people, even when they're just lifting weights. They really work on just nose breathing. Like there's one guy that will tape his mouth shut, and he'll nose breathe his entire workout, and he swears by it.
Yeah, I tried. So I tried one winter trying to run just nose breathing.
Yep.
And I did it for a while, but it was so cold outside. It was literally giving me headaches.
I
ridiculous.
bet.
So that's a little hard. It's amazing. I mean, you can get. I definitely got better at it doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what's the point?
I have no idea.
I mean, I know when you breathe in. One of the Gracies, Rickson Gracie, the jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
He's a breathing kind of guy, and
Yeah.
he was saying something about like if you take a deep inhale in your breath in your nose, it definitely feels different than through your mouth.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of actually he said an interesting thing. He was like, breathe out. So if somebody tells you to take a deep breath, if you breathe out first before you take a deep breath, you're gonna get a much deeper full breath. It's empty that space.
Yeah.
And then he does like a kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know
Like
much
MMA
about
fighters
any of that,
do.
but the breathe in through the nose too is like I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on that.
I don't know if I do it naturally or don't do it naturally. But sometimes when I think about it, and then I feel weird about breathing, and then I'm like, well, now I don't know how to breathe.
Right.
I have to think about something else so I can just go back to breathing without thinking about it.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, maybe I won't try that anymore. I'm about to pass out.
So I'm guessing something I find interesting, or I've been thinking about a lot lately, is how, especially starting this podcast, is how we meet people, we know little bits about them, and we connect the dots from our own experience on who they are, what they are, and we're probably wrong most of the time.
Yeah.
Now I look at you and I figure you grew up as an athlete,
Yeah.
and What? So at least I got that right.
Yeah, yep.
What was your kind of path, like sports wise? What are your earliest memories of sports?
My earliest memories of sports were.
And don't tell me it was of Aaron Rodgers, because
No, it was not Aaron Rodgers. It was Brett Favre. And my uncle is big into sports. My Uncle Dan, and he was a longtime football coach, volleyball coach, basketball coach, and everybody in the area knows him as Uncle Dan.
Where'd you grow up?
Brewer.
Okay.
Brewer. And my mom and dad were not real big into sports. If I never did sports, they never would have, tagged along to love sports like I do or follow me in sports. But I remember being a little kid, and I was always up early in the morning. I was usually the first one up in the morning, and I would walk downstairs to the basement, and I would watch Sports Center. And that was, 5, 6 years old. I remember going down and watching highlights of Major League Baseball.
Right.
And then I would watch, basketball and football. And for some reason, I just genuinely enjoyed watching Sports Center. I remember having conversations with adults, and them being like super amused that I knew a little bit about sports. And
this is what, mid-90s?
I was born in '90, so this was mid to late '90s, right. And then my parents put me in flag football and PAL basketball and youth football and youth soccer and all that stuff, and I just always loved it. And I remember always being super competitive, super upset if we lost or if I did bad or something, and I've always had this passion for sports.
Right.
It's always been an outlet for me.
Right.
I drive so much for work, 2-3 days a week. I'm on the highway, and I'm either listening to podcasts like Joe Rogan, or I listen to some Ben Shapiro, and a few other people, and then I listen to some funny Barstool stuff. But I always listen to sports radio. So right. Dan Patrick, Rich Eisen,
right.
Pat McAfee. I just love listening to sports and being in the conversation to talk about sports. It's always been an outlet for me. I remember being a kid. Going through some tough times, and I would play basketball in a blizzard. I'd be shooting hoops in a rainstorm.
Totally get
and it was just my release. For hours, me and my good friend who passed away now, Delray, we would play basketball to 100 in middle school. We'd play to 100, and we would be fist fights
right.
by the end of it,
right.
and hate each other by the end of it, and then best friends the next day. But it was just a release for both of us,
Yeah.
So to this day, it's I love watching anything. I'll stay up late at night, which is horrible, but I'll watch a playoff baseball game or a basketball game or something. I just care a lot about it. It's always been.
Was there one that you gravitated to more, like that you did, or was
it was always the one that I was playing at the time. But if I had to pick one, I think my heart would go to baseball. There's just something about I bought my son a little plastic bat and a little mini ball and a little tee, and I never pushed it on him. Just kind of played a little bit, and then he started getting really excited about it, and he wanted to play pass, and we were rolling the ball on the floor, and then he wanted to actually throw it, and I was like, oh my god, this is cool, this is
right,
fun.
Right.
Maybe he wants to be like me and wants to play sports. And I went and grabbed my mitt, and I grabbed his little mitt, and I put my glove on, and I was like, it was just something special about putting that. If anybody's ever played baseball, you just
right.
put your glove on, and it was I didn't play past high school, but I played a little fall ball in college, but and I just put that mitt on, and I was like, oh my god, it brought me right back, the smell, the feel. Right. And then I just sat there playing with my kid, and I was like, I felt like life had come full circle. I could die right there, and I
right.
had, was happy. So that was, I hope my kids have that same passion.
Right.
I always fear that, I'm going to push it on them too much, and then
right.
they won't have that same passion because it was never pushed on me. But I'm so passionate about it that I want them to
right.
be. So it's like I have to constantly tell myself, hey, just relax.
I totally get that.
Like my kid picked up a bat and he started swinging lefty, and I'm not a lefty, but he throws righty and swings lefty, which is perfect, which is awesome.
Right.
And I'm like, oh man, everyone's gonna think I forced him to swing and learn how to do it lefty, but he's just got this natural little lefty swing, and I'm like dying inside of happiness. And I'm like, calm down, Kyle. He's 3.
I remember Little League baseball. I was the kid that was just terrified of being hit.
Yeah.
I was a good athlete.
Yep.
Like fielding, catching, throwing. I never had a big arm. Maybe being short.
Yeah.
But I loved that.
Yeah.
But then I got to play, and it's funny because there was I grew up in Old Town.
Yep.
And we had a pitcher that was I forget his name, but he was ridiculously good. Like we World Series, went deep, and he was just Jimmy Evans, and he was the only guy I could hit off.
Yeah.
In
I'm
the
kidding.
whole, because I wasn't. He was the one guy I knew wouldn't hit me.
Yeah,
like he'd hit the strike zone, and
Yeah.
like I could stand up there confident. So everybody else, I was just terrified.
Yeah.
I remember that fear just crippling me. It was probably the first time, probably my first experience with real fear.
Yeah.
And just never had the will to work through that.
Yeah. That's a real thing, though. I went through that as a kid. That's a real thing. It was different than I went through that where I was afraid at the plate, afraid of getting hit, and I did get hit a ton in Little League. I got hit a ton.
Yeah.
And but I remember being in the field, and I played shortstop and second base, and I was never afraid of the ball when it would get hit to me.
Right.
But I was afraid of the ball at the plate.
Right.
Eventually, I got over that fear. But kind of funny how, what's the difference? You're standing at the plate or you're standing at shortstop and someone smokes a 120 mile an hour ball at you.
Right.
But, I don't know. That's a real fear. You see that with a lot of people.
I definitely think something about the you going up there knowing you're either gonna strike out or walk.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. With zero confidence that you're gonna get.
And the game's on the line, and like you just gotta suck it up. And luckily, I didn't play with a bunch of jerks. I guess my coach was nice enough, but man, that was.
Yeah.
It didn't stress me out that much, but I look back on it now, and it kind of stressed me out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be back there.
Yeah.
And
Now that's a new challenge right there. That's a new fear you need to tackle.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
No.
I don't think I'd have.
Go to
any
the batting cages and.
Yeah, I've definitely worked through that. But,
Yeah.
but I had no. Yeah, I just wasn't driven by. I don't know.
So
It
you
was
did
weird.
you did swimming, you did baseball for a little bit. Did you do?
Not really. Well, baseball was just like Little League.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I stopped after Little League.
Yep.
So I was. So swimming was. There was a point where my parents were like, "Do you want to do swimming or ice hockey?" And
Yeah.
I just couldn't skate for the life of me at the time. And I was winning. Swimming, I was ridiculously good. When I was young, so everybody was still my height at that time.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was at a swim meet, and the kid, and it was a relay, and the kid beside me had jumped in the water, and he was like 3/4 the length, and it was just a one lap. I'm like, no, I still got him.
Yep.
Like I felt like I could just
Yeah.
take on anybody.
That's fun.
As I got closer to high school, people got taller. I started falling back. So
Yeah.
in high school, I went to diving, which was off the diving board and stuff.
Yeah.
Which was just its own stupid. Dealing with fear there was ridiculous.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. But football was my thing.
Yeah.
I was just football was everything.
Did you play tailback?
I was I was a wingback,
Yep.
so I kind of slot and then
Yep.
run back. But I was more. Defense was more my.
Yeah.
I love just blowing people up. It's
Yeah.
my life.
Yeah.
And I was like a strong safety. I started as a sophomore, junior, and then my senior they moved me to linebacker. Just
Oh, no kidding.
yeah, I was so undersized. I think I was like 135 in
Yeah.
high school. it was like, okay, I just gotta hold up the guards and stuff. Okay, that's my
Yep.
job.
Yep.
But I was violent.
Oh yeah, blow up the hole.
I was just and I was ridiculously fast
Yeah.
for my size, so I could just cause violence
Yeah.
quickly.
That's fun.
It's weird how that's in me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That violence is
Yep.
there.
Yep.
But it was a great, as you said, a great outlet.
That's natural, especially in men though. That violence is natural.
Right. And tennis was my other one.
Do you remember, like hitting people? Like you and I probably had pretty similar helmets. Do you remember hitting people like forehead to forehead, like helmet to helmet, and like that was kind of how you were taught to square up your body? And it was obviously you wanted to get your helmet on the football, but a lot of times it was just the running back would duck down, and you would duck down to their level, and it was constantly helmet to helmet. I remember like face to face. I always remember that was the way we hit.
Yeah.
And I remember stingers. All the time with those helmets that were not great. I mean, they were better than the leather helmets that they had in the
Right.
50s.
But if you had a
and
leather
40s.
helmet, you wouldn't be going full blast and putting your head into something.
Right. But it's funny how tackling has changed throughout the years. I coached football for a few years when I got out of high school.
Right.
And it's even changed since then.
Yeah.
And it was a drastic change back when I started coaching, and it's changed even now to where you're supposed to put your head on the other side of the ball, but it's crazy how that's coming. How few kids are playing football now too.
The concussion stuff is, I mean, how we dealt with it back then. But I remember like, my best friend, Jarrett, him and I were like same size, same build. Like him and I literally were like the strong safety. Basically the reason I moved to linebackers, we both had to be on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
My coaches were, I want the best 11 guys,
Yep.
and you two need, we need to find a place for both of you. And end of practice. We need a great hit at the end of practice. Ben and Jarrett, get up there.
Yeah.
And we'd lay on our backs and jump up and just.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, Jarrett, I'll go easy if you go easy. He's like, yeah, we're good. And then we'd both go full
And then
blast
both
each
go.
other. And I remember like.
Is that the Oklahoma drill?
Yeah. Except without a ball, just
Yeah.
be violent on each other. And coaches would love it, you know.
Yeah.
But I remember, like after every hit, I would think my face hit my face mask.
Yeah.
But I know that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then you get thinking about it, that's my brain squishing
yeah.
against the front of my skull.
I know. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, but I remember coaching my brother. So I just like you, after high school, I coached for a couple of years.
Yep.
My brother was, I think, a junior in Old Town, and he was senior year, and he had made a hit. And my brother's 6'1",
Yep.
big boy,
Yep.
and he hit. He couldn't remember if he was on offense or defense, and he's in the huddle, and we're laughing about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it was like, he'd be like, I remember hearing the story, like he'd go up to the other guys, are we on offense or defense? I'm like, we're on defense. He's like, where do I go? And he'd go, and then he'd do the play, he'd still perform all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can
What a different
perform,
world.
pretty well right after, but you shouldn't be out there
Yeah.
because you're so much more susceptible to another head injury.
But it's kind of like the cigarette thing, like years ago, where people didn't know what was.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did you not know? You look hindsight, looking back, and it's like, how did we not know that?
It's such a violent sport, People worry about it at such a young age, but it's really not as dangerous at a young age because the speed isn't there.
And the size
the
is
kids are
relative
not.
to each other.
Yeah, they're 30 pounds, 40, 50, 60 pounds, and they don't move fast enough to cause real harm. There's more concussions in soccer than there are in
Right.
football just because of people
Heading.
jumping and heading and running and hitting each other in the head. But
Right.
you start to get to that high school level, definitely college, definitely pro, where their guys are running 4.2, 4.3 40s, and they're 200 pounds of solid muscle.
Right.
And that's really when I was watching the Packers game against, it was 2 weeks ago against the 49ers. And Devontae Adams ran across the field, caught the ball, and got smoked in the head. His body went limp. He laid down for a second. They went and they grabbed him real quick. He jogged off to the sideline. He was definitely out.
Right.
He was definitely
Right,
out.
right.
2 plays later, he was back in. And normally they don't miss that stuff, but he was definitely out cold.
Right.
Definitely out cold. Whereas, like, you get hit in the head again, you could cause serious damage.
Scary stuff.
It is wicked scary.
My daughters play field hockey, and that sport terrifies me. I don't know how they don't have helmets and pads.
That ball is no joke. That's like a ball of concrete.
But we talked about like not standing in the batter's box with the ball coming.
Yeah.
They're taking that ball. So Kaylin last year got hit in the head, and it hit her mask. So they have a little eye protection.
Yeah.
It hit her mask, and she went off the sideline. I'm like, and my wife's freaking out, right? Because she's going over the trainer. I'm like, she's all right. She's all right. And I remember across the field seeing her. She had to close her eyes and walk or something, and she fell over. And then she did it again. Fell. I'm like, holy crap! My daughter used to be a gymnast. She's got great balance.
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, that is scary.
But you want to beat the little girl out there.
I know. That's such a strange feeling as a parent.
It's a teammate, but
Yeah. Same team. She did it on purpose.
she wanted Kaylin starting spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Both my older, I have 2 older sisters, and they both played field hockey. And my mom laid out a blanket, and I was sitting there playing with cars. And they were in middle school or high school playing, so I was elementary school. And I was playing with cars, and I actually got hit in the head with a ball out cold.
How bad?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I was
well.
like 5th grade or something like that.
So you grew up with 2 older sisters.
2 older sisters.
How was
yeah.
that?
That was good. I love my sisters, but it was different. Obviously they shared a room together, and they were quite a bit older. So it was
Oh, okay.
it was I say quite a bit older. My oldest sister Sarah is like 7 years older than me, and my sister Jess is 3 years older than me. But I mean, they were always in different times in their life. I was always the little, they call me Bubba. I was just always the baby.
Right.
More spoiled than they were. I always tell them that my parents stopped with perfection. They don't like that too much. But no, they're awesome. They both have their own beautiful families now. But it was different growing up with 2 older sisters. I always wish I had a brother.
Right.
But I wouldn't trade my sisters for anything in the world.
I had 2 younger brothers.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I bet.
Yeah, it was rough on them.
I bet. But that's what.
There's a lot of teaming up So there's like 3 years, kind of like the opposite. You had 3
Yeah.
years and then 7 years to my youngest.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like 2-on-1 kinds of stuff.
Yep.
You know, negotiations to get the other brother on your side, so then
Yep.
parents would take your side. Or
Yeah. Makes them tough though, right? I mean, it toughens them up.
Yeah, I was probably a little bit too much of a jerk back then. I was a little too full of myself back then.
What's the worst thing you did to your
Oh,
brothers?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to put it on camera.
I'm trying to think now too, right? So I remember. Oh, this is too. I was too old to even. So I probably was in high school, and my brothers maybe middle school, and he drove me nuts,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like just everything he did, and like I was something about like how to spread peanut butter the right way, like
Yeah.
and I was just. And he was just doing it wrong, and it pissed me off, and I like whacked it. Like I just
because you could.
and like let's go. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely like that kind of stuff. It's weird, like bullying. Like I would never bully anybody.
No.
Like, I knew better than that.
Yeah.
But he's my brother.
Yep. So you can.
It was I don't know where that came in my head. I feel bad about it, and I've heard from his kids that your dad, our kids, he was a jerk to you.
So he's hung on to that for a while.
As he should, because I was. I mean, it definitely made. I mean, he's tough as nails, and maybe I deserve some credit for how
Yeah,
it
I
turned
think
out,
so.
but-
I think so.
But it could have been a nicer.
My cousins, he's my second. They're my second cousins. One of my best friends, Billy, is the most athletic and probably strongest kid, like pound for pound, I've ever grown up with. He has two younger brothers, and we used to go over to their house. Every weekend we'd go to my camp or his house. We'd hunt squirrel and hunt deer and everything. And we used to beat the crap out of his younger brothers. I mean, like one arm, one leg, and just like into the basement door, like throw them head first into the door, headlock, drag them by their feet. I mean, beat the crap out of them now. And those two kids now, I say kids, I mean, they're rugged as hell. Like one of them is a bodybuilder, could bench this garage,
Right.
and the other one just got out of the Navy and he's running track for Maine, and he's an absolute stud pole vaulter. And those kids are, I mean, they could probably fold me in half right now. But I'm like, I like to think, I take a little credit for them being tough.
My best friend's younger brother, was the same age as my brother, and they're both named Josh. And they'd come over and we'd hog tie him.
Yeah,
It was like,
that's pretty.
we'd play tag, like you two go,
Yeah.
and we'd catch him and hog tie him. And they kept getting out of our hog ties, so we kept trying to perfect our hog tying techniques.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
They actually enjoyed that though.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That would, they'd be like, "Hey, can you hog tie us?" Sure.
That's funny.
Yeah. So you mentioned lifting weights. When did that come on? Was that high school or after?
High school. I mean, I half-assed it in high school.
Really?
I was always able to just switch sports, switch skills.
So what other sports?
Baseball, basketball, football were my three main.
Right.
But I could go, ride bikes. We rode to Hancock one time on our stunt bikes, and it was never even sore or anything. I used to be able to do whatever, whenever, and always was, gifted enough to go jump in and do whatever, whenever. But I was never strong. I was like 5'2" until my junior year. I was like 5'2", 115, 120 pounds, and not strong. My football coach, Coach Farnham, really developed a weight training program there at the high school, and we would go in on summer days and Saturday mornings and after school, and kind of really half-assed it, and then lifted a little bit in college, still pretty much half-assed it because I was just always able to do. Really, I just took it for granted. I was able to do whatever, whenever, and then I hit my mid to late 20s, and I started to see my figure that I didn't like how it looked, aesthetically. And I was like, geez, I gotta, kick myself back into gear. And obviously, I've been in the military 10 and a half years now, and I always got, high 90s or 100s on the PT test.
Right.
One year I got like a 94.5, and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting fat. This is ridiculous. I don't know if I'm lazy or if my metabolism. And that was a couple years ago, and then I just really kicked it into gear. And the key for me is just consistently doing something.
Right.
My wife she's a stay-at-home mom, but she also works. She does Instagram and YouTube, And but she is as fit as they come, and she's chasing 2 toddlers around, works on her computer, I mean, almost has 0 time to work out, and always makes time to work out. Right. Whether it's she had a stress day and it was too busy, but she finds 10 minutes to do a quick hit, or if she just bought a stationary bike.
Right.
So she'll put her laptop, she'll be editing videos or answering emails and riding 30 miles on the bike.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I got to keep up with that. You're kicking my butt. And so that, and then obviously being able to play with my kids has been that. But just I'd say more this year I've really got into lifting and different styles of lifting.
Right.
My first deployment, which was 4 years ago, I tried to do you ever heard of the 1,000-pound club?
It sounds familiar.
Bench, squat, and deadlift total to be 1,000 pounds. I couldn't get it to 1,000 pounds. I hit 950, 960, and I started to feel my knees not feel good.
Right.
And I started thinking this was fun, but I got to give up now. But that was when I really got into proper technique.
Right.
And then actually pushing myself to limits to see what I got grips on my hands because I couldn't grip the bar anymore. So I started really pulling. Then I did a lot more research that a lot of it says if you can't pull it, if you can't grip it, you shouldn't lift it.
Right.
And I kind of believe in that now. But I really enjoy pushing myself on that end of aspects. I've had a few surgeries, so it's nice to feel like I'm strong again.
Right.
I had a shoulder surgery and shoulder and bicep surgery from overuse throughout the years. Baseball, football, climbing towers in the military, not stretching, things like that. And then I crashed my snowmobile a couple years ago. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I was pretty
concussions.
beat up. Yeah, I was pretty beat up. I never got diagnosed with a concussion.
But you messed up your helmet pretty good, right?
I was asleep. I was sleeping on the trail. My helmet was in pieces.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And blood all over the place. I think it was 17 stitches in my face. And then, but the worst part was my collarbone. I broke that in half. Like it actually broke in half. A lot of people break their collarbone, and it's like a fracture or a chip. Right. It actually was. You could move it. It broke in half. That was the most painful thing. So that took a while. But now with all those different surgeries, I can go and I can bench more than I've ever benched in my life. So that feels really good.
Right.
Just physically being able to lift stuff.
Yeah.
It also feels good too, like for your ego. Right. Like I always plan the workout the night before I go to bed. I'm looking up what I'm going to do. I'm watching videos, and then I get in my head because then it's easier to wake up in the morning knowing what you're going to do, and then get excited to do it. Right. And you kind of go in there like it's game day a little bit, and you go in and you're like, I'm going to lift this, this, and this, and you do it, and you feel strong, and it's like you just like won a game.
Right.
And then you're like, I'm going to work now, and I'm excited.
I was such a freak in the weight room in high school.
I bet.
I
heard that. I actually heard that about you. I was talking to that guy the other day.
Hines?
No. Old Town Archery.
Oh, I'm not sure what do you know?
I forget his name.
Yeah. I didn't know if you talked to Mike Hines, who I went to high school with.
You went to school with Mike Hines?
Oh, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Mike was a ridiculously good running back.
Really?
Ridiculously good.
Just a natural.
Just his size, something, but he didn't look like what a running back should be.
Yeah.
But he was smooth and deceptively quick.
No kidding.
And just power.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I did not know you guys went to school together.
Yeah, he was a year ahead of me.
No kidding.
Yeah, he was a diver on the diving team.
What?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
He's a character.
Yes, he is. But we get in the football weight room, and I quickly just start being able to do ridiculous amounts.
Did you teach yourself?
Well, so my dad always worked out. My dad lived in Gold's Gym. He was more for racquetball. It was the racquetball club before then, and then 40 years or something going there every day. When I had like posters of Arnold Schwarzenegger or something up on my wall, and he got me in touch with a girl that was in our church that was a bodybuilder, and she took me to the main gym, showed me some things, but I didn't really pay attention.
Yeah.
And then it was just football. Like the coach was kind of like, just do this and that.
Yeah.
But I at UMaine 2 years in a row I won the bench press contest.
No kidding.
But it was factored by body weight.
Yeah.
So it was ridiculous. I was still weighing like 140.
Yeah.
And I was putting up over 3.
Jesus, how old were you?
18, 19, 20.
No kidding. You're strong. That's really good.
My favorite thing, and I was a dick in the weight. I look back at myself, and like I'd go to the weight room, and I'd pick out whoever was benching the most.
Yeah.
And I'd go next to him, put the same weight on he did, and they'd be working hard, and I'd just go. But I would beat like the NFL Combine numbers. Like,
did you ever do that? The 225? How many times?
That's what I work out with. I would do 20.
Wow, that's good.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
Sets of 20.
Yeah.
And I had this squat record in high school the first time I ever squatted.
No kidding.
They just kept, let's do a little more. Let's do a little more.
Yeah.
But I hated how I felt.
You hated squatting?
Squatting, so my junior year, I got the most bulked up I've ever been. Like, I was just like hardcore in the gym.
How much did you weigh then?
I probably didn't put on much. Probably still like 150, maybe at the most. But I could see the difference in my speed noticeably. Yeah. And being little like I was, speed was my game. Like I had to have, and I could feel the difference. Yeah. No like joint pain or anything like that. I mean, I was young enough where I'm not feeling it, but I was. I love working out. I love getting in the gym, but I'm so much more into like HIIT workouts and things like that. Yeah. Now. Like that just, or lighter weights, just lots of reps.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't do as much anymore. More plyometrics if I'm going to do something. Kinds of stuff.
I get bored easy, so I really enjoy doing. My wife and I will do a HIIT workout together. Like Saturday morning, we'll probably do a HIIT workout together before we take Knox and Elodie to soccer, and that's always fun to do it together.
Right.
And we'll mix up the variations. You know, if she'll do way more legs than I'll do, and I'll do way more push-ups than she does. But we have fun with that because we compete against each other.
Right.
If I see if we're planking and I see her I'll stop real quick to take a break and get my posture better, and she's over there crushing it, and I'm like, what? Right. And then I'm like, no way, I'm going back to it. But I enjoy doing the HIIT workouts. I enjoy lifting, and then I like doing. I wish I could go back to the days of high school practice where you're doing the ladder drill and you're doing agility drills and you're doing cone drills, and I know I could do that myself, but it's more of the fact of you're not thinking, hey, do this drill. Hey, go do this drill. And they're all athletic based drills. I miss doing that stuff. Suicides, which I can go do any day, but you're competing against 10, 12 other basketball players while you're doing it. Right. That stuff was fun.
Speaking of basketball, that's so the violence of hitting in football that once football ended, that's where that ended. Yeah. But basketball, pre-COVID, I'd play with a bunch of guys for 3 hours full court. Yep. And there's a physicality to basketball that I freaking love. I miss boxing out and going for rebound. I'm a short guy, but I want the fast break. Me and somebody else, I'm going one on one. I'm going to the hole. Even though you're a foot taller than I am, I'm coming at you. Yep. I miss that. And since COVID, it hasn't picked back up.
Where did you play?
So in Winterport, the middle school, I would open up, and it was mostly just. There was 4 or 5 guys my age, and mostly just guys right out of high school. Yep. And we just 3 hours of just nonstop winter stay on.
That is some of the best cardio you can get. You're not even thinking about it.
Oh my god.
And it's you think about it though, and you're because if you're playing like that, which is how I play too, you're sprinting on defense, you're sprinting on offense, you're sprinting, and you're doing God knows how many sprints, and you've never even thought about it, right? Which is awesome. Right. We used to play every Wednesday night in Holden. And it was a group of mostly guys my age and a couple older guys that were
I've played there a couple of times.
Oh, no kidding.
I wouldn't be surprised if we both played and we just didn't know each other.
And probably didn't even know each other. Aaron Newcomb opens it up.
Somebody that I knew that knew somebody else that I knew was going. So hey, in the gym we've been going to, it just stopped and we went 3 or 4 times.
Basketball's fun.
Yeah, it's a brutal sport on your body.
Yeah. It is tough. Yeah,
I play every Sunday. It's it took me a week to recover.
Uh-huh. Well, you're thinking of all the twists and turns and
the landings. Yeah, jumping.
Yeah, and you land awkwardly all the time too.
Constantly.
Left foot first, right foot first, and then God forbid you take a charge. At our age, your tailbone's swollen for 2 months. And you're walking like you crapped your pants after.
And I would just play balls to the walls. Yeah. I wanted to
set some moving screens like this and.
I love a good screen, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I know, I can tell.
And I love trying to fight through screens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Basketball was fun too. Do you remember Mark Reed? You know Mark Reed?
Yes, the Bangor coach, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know him.
Well, yeah, Roger Reed. His father was the Bangor coach.
Oh, okay.
Mark played at Bangor.
Okay. Oh,
And
yes, because yes,
he played at Liberty, D1 Liberty.
he was. Geez, I
Coaches Herman now, but he coached at Brewing.
I want to say those. So I graduated in '94, and I want to say he was he playing then?
Yeah,
So
I think he was playing.
So our team, we won states 2 out of 3 years in high school, and Bangor won the other 2, and we were just like
it was probably
Old
that
Town
same
Bangor were just
same year.
and like the auditorium would sell out for I mean, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
The
remember
old
it.
Mecca.
Yeah,
I remember going as a kid sitting in those seats. I have 4 of those seats, those bleacher seats.
Really?
When they tore it down, my dad went and grabbed
Right.
four bleacher seats. But so I played for him in high school.
Right.
That dude was tough.
Yeah.
Knowledge wise, the most knowledgeable about basketball I've ever played for in my life, and I'm talking like drill sergeant tough. That was an experience. That was a challenge. Some days were borderline, like, man, I don't enjoy this anymore. And then other days, you know, when you had a good practice, it was always about practice. When you had a good practice and you would get like a half-ass compliment from him, it was like you got $10 million.
Right.
So it was one of those, and I didn't know it as, if I could go back now, I would embrace that.
Right.
As much as I could. I would be like, drink it in. As a kid, you're like, hey, did anyone see Coach Reed today? Was he happy? Did he look mad? Like that was our every day. But I look back at it now, I'm like, man, we learned so much from that guy.
My football coach was similar. He was an ass. We all hated him.
Yep.
But I think it was intentional.
Yeah.
Like because the assistant coaches would come up to us and be like, and always smoothing things over. But he was just, and he would like, I remember I'm lining up for a play. I know the play. I'm like, oh shoot, what was the snap count? Damn it. I'm gonna watch Steve, who's next to me. Steve goes offsides. I go offsides. And I remember he comes up and just hits his clipboard on my helmet so hard.
Yeah.
Concussion stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then he looks at Steve and he takes 3 steps back and slams it into him. It shatters. I remember I had like a chunk of it into my arm. We hated him.
Oh yeah.
Like hated him.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, it's like, oh, that was his to like join us as a team.
Yeah.
The Mel Brooks kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that word? Not Mel Brooks. That's a comedian.
I was thinking
on ice guy.
Mel. No, Mike.
I think it's Brooks.
You're talking Miracle on Ice,
right?
What's his name? Herb Brooks.
Herb Brooks.
Okay,
Brooks. Yeah.
And then and he would like bring in the assistant coach and be like, "Okay, bring him in."
Right.
Yeah.
And there was definitely a lot of that going on, and our assistant coaches were like the guy.
Talk about psychology, though.
Right.
I mean, you got to play your cards right there.
But it definitely made us tougher. It made us a team. Yeah. I've found I've been drawn to, so like I said before, misery. So like, I've done an Ironman, right? I've done a couple.
Yeah.
The swimming I can breeze through.
Yeah.
The biking sucks, but I can push through it and I feel fine.
Yeah.
The running's misery.
Yeah.
Every time I run, the first mile sucks.
You still hate running?
The first mile.
Yeah.
I hate a lot of running. Yes. For the most part, it's a miserable thing, but I'm in that misery.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Embrace the suck.
I really do.
Yeah.
And as I go further distances, the more it sucks, and the more I love the suck.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, you'd love to go back to football or basketball and embrace that.
Yep.
And I'm for me, it's like a mental challenge.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Where like I used to love, like I never even thought about running. I never considered myself a runner. Like, I love the strategy, like tennis. Like, this isn't working. I gotta switch my strategy. I gotta switch this up. Overpowering's not working. I gotta go to the net or whatever. Football. How do I beat this guy even though I'm undersized? You know, everything was. I love the mental game of all of it. And now running is like my mental game every day. Like,
do you listen to music when you run?
I rarely.
Yeah.
I love. I try to let my brain just go.
Yep.
To wherever it's gonna go, and it wanders. I figure out. I solve all kinds of problems in my head.
Yeah.
I create also problems.
Yep.
But then it's like, oh, this thing on my knee, is that gonna keep coming?
Yeah.
Stop. Don't think about it.
Yeah.
See if it goes away.
Yeah.
Oh, did it go away? You know, and I'm constantly in my head. And I'm constantly just in the suffering. And
Do you feel something like when I run and I stop running? It's never because I'm winded or like bored. it's always because like, wow, my Achilles hurts, or my lower back is really tight, or my knee's tight, and I'm like, man, I get really frustrated because like I want to run way more, and I always think like, should I just push through this and treat it like that, or should I be smart and be like, I gotta stop because I still gotta play with my kids tomorrow morning.
Right.
You know what I mean? I get torn between.
It's a constant struggle.
You
But
know?
that's the mental part. I feel like when I do push through it and it doesn't, like, an experience, you know, like I felt this before. It did become something. Like my Achilles this time is like, as soon as I didn't know until I got done. Yeah. I was walking around and started limping. Like, oh, I want to go for that lunch run, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I'm liking that. There's we call it, JT and I call it going dark, and we did so Millinocket last year because of COVID got canceled, the Millinocket Marathon. So we decided we're gonna do a marathon in Portland.
Yep.
Around the Back Cove.
Yeah, I run Back Cove.
Yeah. So we were gonna do the Back Cove. It ended up being sleeting, most miserable day ever.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're still doing it, and we're talking like the first 18 miles or so. We're just chatting, and then all of a sudden, like, conversation just. And we stopped talking. And we've both gone dark, and I went really dark. Yeah. And then like hypothermia starts setting in. Like, I ended up bailing on that one. I didn't even finish. He did.
How many trips around did you?
Oh, I don't remember. But I could tell you.
Yeah. That's like 3.4 or 3.2
right.
or something.
Right. It's a great little loop.
Yeah. I drill down to South Portland. Okay. And so we'll go do PT there sometimes. All of us get together and we'll run. And it's kind of fun. It's a lot different than just getting on a treadmill. It's
funny. So JT's there. He runs that area a lot because he lives in Portland.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, so here I wave to every car that goes by me.
Yeah.
Let's say hi.
I do the same thing.
Like, I'm just trying to spread some positivity.
Yep.
This is what I have in my head. He goes, to get somebody to acknowledge that I've waved to him in Portland, it's like he's like, I want to like run and then have somebody like surveying people after.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, why are they so? We're both out doing the same thing.
I'm
not trying to like have a conversation, but even acknowledge that I'm there.
Yeah, that's Portland though. We just said that the other day. The last time me and some of my buddies ran Back Cove, I was like just slightly in front of the pack, and every single group we ran by, I would go, hey, hi, how you doing? And I'm telling you, 5% of the people would acknowledge me, let alone. I don't know if I got a smile or anything, but that's just I don't know. But if I always say that when I travel out of state for work in the military, if I'm walking down the street where I live and I walk by somebody, if you don't like look up and say hi and smile, you're the weird one. If I go out of state or if I go to Portland and if I look at somebody and say, hey, how you doing? I'm the weird one. Right. It's like, what a change in culture.
Did you run when you were in Vegas?
No. I went to the gym one time.
I didn't go to the gym, but I ran.
One time.
Really? Why do you say that? Is there a story there?
No. no, I heard a story about you though. No, I was exhausted in Vegas. I literally would go to class all day and then play blackjack and drink, and we'd go out to dinner and then keep drinking and go to random parties and then wake up and do it all over again. I went to the gym one time.
I ran every morning there.
Outdoors or?
Yeah. Because I was still in this time zone. It was just cool running around the lights, but I got out of town a little bit. Yeah. I came up to this gas station, and like 4 guys kind of come out, just out of the woodwork. It's not wood. Yeah. You know, they just showed up and they're like coming towards me. I turned and went the other way as fast as I could. I think it's where the new stadium is now, but it wasn't under construction. It had just been cleared. It was just.
That's funny.
It got sketchy real quick.
I wouldn't run out there by myself.
In where the lights are and stuff like that, it was really cool. Yeah. Like going out and just being around.
No, I wouldn't risk that. That new stadium is beautiful, by the way.
I bet it is.
It's like it looks like Darth Vader, and it's like all mirrored black on the outside.
I'm trying to think if I've seen a picture of it.
It looks really cool. That was the right move for them to move to Vegas.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah, and I think they kept a lot of their fans.
Yeah.
Raiders fans they travel well anyway. Like anywhere in California besides San Francisco. You're like the Chargers don't have real fans. Right. The Rams don't have real fans, but the Raiders do.
So since we're on the NFL, what's Rodgers' haircut?
Ugly.
What's his costume gonna be?
For Halloween?
Isn't that why he's growing out his hair?
I don't know. Do you think that's why he's doing it?
He said that.
Oh, he did?
He said he's growing out for
I just figured he's been trying to be like so philosophical lately.
Really?
Yeah. You ever hear someone talk, and like he's done this like the past couple of years. He will wait in a conversation and he'll wait to try to find like a bigger word to say instead of just like saying what's on your mind. Like I don't know. I just speak whatever comes to my brain speaks. He like tries to slow down and sound philosophical.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, talk X's and O's, talk football, tell us how bad you want to win and what you're going to do to win.
Right.
I don't want to hear you talk about what book you just read. Like
But
if I want to,
but you're a fan of it.
I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan of this. This summer, put some wear and tear on my fanism for Aaron Rodgers, but
right.
it was a little stressful. It was a little bit like, hey, dude, just shut up and play. Packers are a different organization. They're the only publicly owned professional sports team in the country.
Right.
So it's we don't, and it's not a LA. It's not a big city where players want to go, and they've got a Super Bowl roster on there. So you're just sitting there looking at it like, hey man, you've got just about the same roster as last year. Don't play these games. You're getting paid $27-30 million a year. Eat your pride a little bit and go try to play and win football games.
I think getting Randall Cobb back wasn't a bad move though.
Who?
Randall Cobb.
Oh yeah, he just caught 2 touchdown passes.
No, I know.
That was.
See, my wife's a huge Green.
Oh, she is.
My wife follows a player their entire career, and Aaron Rodgers is her. It used to be John Lynch.
Yeah.
And then
No kidding.
Yeah.
Random.
Because of his guns.
Oh, okay. He's a handsome guy. He was a hell of a strong safety.
Right.
And he wouldn't make it in today's game though. He'd get kicked out.
Right.
Because he hit people.
Oh,
he
right.
was awesome.
That was like one of our first conversations. I'm like, I'm in love with you. You love John Lynch.
John Lynch.
That's the guy you pick.
Yeah, and he beat us in the Super Bowl in '99. That's funny.
Yeah, but she's a big Aaron Rodgers fan. Follows his dating life and.
Yeah, now he's dating some Hollywood girl.
Right.
There. That's funny. My wife likes the Packers just because I'm in a horrible mood if they lose.
Right.
So she's just like, yeah, I'm on your team, Kyle.
I did fantasy football big time. Like I was so hooked in that for years, and there was like, I miss just cheering for football.
Yeah.
And since then I've kind of like, I watch it. I love to watch it, but it's not appointment viewing that it used to be for me. It's more that I've kind of faded on that a bit.
Yeah, I do quite a bit. I do one fantasy league, and then I do like pick'ems, pick'em leagues, and but it's fun, to do it against all my friends, and then
I get so competitive with it. Like, and there's years where like
that's what's fun about it.
We had like keeper league. We could keep certain players.
Yeah,
and like I'd have like the most stacked roster. Going into the season, I've got this roster that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I end up in last place.
Yeah.
And anybody on that league would trade teams with me in a heartbeat going into the season. It's like freaking injuries and
yeah, or teams like will not throw the ball enough or they won't run the ball enough, and that part. Yeah, I still don't find myself rooting like for players. I just more of a team guy, but I'll have my fantasy teams. I'll have certain players and stuff, but I've never been like I'll watch football with friends and they're like rooting for one guy on one team that's playing the same team or playing another team, and then they're rooting for that player. I'm like, well, that doesn't really make much sense.
Right. Yeah. So what motivates you?
What motivates me for what? Life?
Exercise, life. Anything.
There's a lot of things that motivate me.
Yeah.
I'm lucky in that sense. I think I have a giant boulder on like each shoulder that I carry every single day, and I can just like pick a stone off that boulder and decide what's going to motivate me for that day. But the first thing that comes to my mind is my wife. She motivates me probably more than anything in the world. We were I was part of her family before we dated. It was my best friend's sister, and she's always been a great athlete, incredibly hardworking, super artistic, super creative, really good at school. Went to Boston and did the college thing in Boston, came back. And everything she decides she's going to do, she crushes it, and she really earns it and really works towards it. So she motivates me, to be the best I can be at everything. Motivates me to be the best husband, the best father, the best worker, all that stuff. She crushes it every single day. I don't know how she finds the time to do the things she does in a day.
Right.
My kids motivate me. you know this feeling. You really start to check yourself once you have kids, and then you start to see their behaviors, and you're like, that's me, and I don't like that. How do I fix that and change that so that, that's a part of me I didn't realize I didn't like, and I don't want them to have that. I want them to be a better version of me. And then obviously, having kids changes the way you do things throughout the day. I used to be quite the cowboy back in the day. Work hard, play hard, jump off the roof into the pool type, crash my snowmobile into a tree, going 50 miles an hour, that kind of stuff. So that stuff motivates me to be a good person. And then, I think struggles I've had. There's times, I grew up in a really nice home. Parents split, and we had quite a big rough patch of years. And there were years where solid stretches of years, probably with like some of your most like developmental periods. There were nights, we didn't have heat, didn't have, hot water,
really?
Didn't have food. I had a paper route, and, paper route was buying groceries. You know what I mean? That's no knock on my parents. It was just, they were dealing with their own thing and couldn't deal with, other things at the time. And I don't
made you tougher though, you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was, in 7th grade, I was mentally, I knew I was at the time, mentally tougher than every other kid I was going to school with. And there were other kids with issues too. When I say every other kid, everyone has difficult issues, and there were probably kids that had harder times than me, but I remember thinking that, like, other kids were chasing girls and stuff like that, and I was worried, man, what am I going to eat for lunch, or what am I going to eat for dinner?
How old am I?
I was
middle school.
I was 7th grade when that started, and it was all through high school. I actually lived with my uncle.
Wow.
Once I got into high school, I just kind of made the decision myself to go live with him. But I made my own rules. I was, I talked to my parents, but I was, to and from practice, and I would do my own homework, and I put myself to bed, and a lot of it was, me and my uncle, or just me and myself, and I've always hung on to that. Because I knew that times were tough, and I knew that if me and my middle sister that lived through most of it, we could get through that, then we could get through anything. And now I look at things like you talk about, like, getting up in the morning and being motivated. It's like, I've got 2 beautiful kids, a great job, great friends. I'm healthy. I'm happy. Like, why not be motivated to do whatever today? I still remember what it's like to not eat dinner. I'll always remember. I remember what it's like to be cold. I remember what it's like to go to school, stinky. I remember those things. So I never have a lack of motivation. Like, I never have. I'm always put more on my plate. I would say my biggest thing is, like, trying to learn to be happy with what you have, but I don't want to stop getting more.
Right.
Trying to find that middle ground. A family friend, he's got 2 beautiful daughters, and they're like idols to us. He just said this like a month ago. We were having a couple beers with family friends, and he's like, I found the secret to life. And he goes, just, be grateful for what you have. And I was like, well, that's pretty simple. And I was like, why not? Just be grateful for what you have.
Seriously. Yeah.
And, like, you turn around, you look, and you got a beautiful house, you got a beautiful family, you got a beautiful garage, sitting here, be grateful for what you have. So, but still don't stop. I mean, you're not stopping.
No.
Challenging yourself, and career-wise and fitness-wise. So trying to find that balance of, like, you push yourself and you push yourself and you push yourself, and then you look back and you're like, where'd the time go? You got to make sure, like, you enjoy that suck, I guess. Enjoy that period.
You talk about the oh jeez, I lost my.
Where was I?
I had something cool.
I don't know. I just talked for a while though. So.
I had something really cool. So like, probably part of your positivity though, what made you, is going through that hard time.
Yeah.
But we don't want our kids to go through that hard time.
No.
And I think the one thing, like, as a parent, and I'm interested in how you think about how you were raised and stuff. I decided the one thing I'm like, I don't want to be, before helicopter parents were a thing. Yeah. But I knew I didn't want to be that. Yeah. You know, they didn't have a name yet. But yeah. I was like, I want to challenge my kids as much as I want to be there and supportive. Yeah. but I don't want to do things for them. I want them to overcome.
Yeah.
Because I think part of me knows that going through the struggle makes you better.
Yep.
Whatever level that is, whatever you're working through, but I'm sure that struggle formed you.
Yeah, so I struggle with that.
But in a good way.
I definitely have like things I work through,
right,
and things I have to, continue to work on.
Right.
But I struggle with that because, my kids, we go to Target on a weekend or something like that. And my kids will be like, or my son will be like, "Hey, I really want this." And never not to brag or anything, but like never in my mind does it come across me that we can't afford that. And I'm like, well, yeah, we can buy that. Why not? Sure, sounds good. But when I was a kid, it was like you didn't even think to ask for stuff because, we couldn't afford it.
Right.
And like, I don't know how to do that because I can drive through town and point at all the different little shacks I lived in, without heat, without food, without water, and that definitely formed who I am. But I would never want my kid to struggle through that. But it's definitely formed the man I am today, right. And I'm grateful for those moments. I really am. But how do I make my kid?
Right.
How do I make him suffer enough to be grateful for what he has?
Right.
But I want to give him the world.
Right. No, I know.
So it's like I genuinely don't know the answer to that one.
That's one of the toughest things I kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my proudest and most embarrassed as a father, my best and worst decision are all wrapped in one. My oldest had climbed Katahdin. She was like 7 when she climbed it the first time. So like a year later, she's 8. Logan's maybe 2 years later, like 9, 8-ish. I decided we're gonna climb Katahdin, but we're gonna do Knife's Edge.
Yep. Yeah.
Have you ever done Knife's Edge?
No, we weren't allowed to. There was like 55-mile-an-hour winds in the.
So have you been up to the top of Katahdin?
Oh yeah.
And so I've been on the beginning part of Knife's Edge. I've never done Knife's Edge, but I've been on the beginning. I'm like, oh, this isn't nothing. So I take the girls up. We get up there, and we're doing Knife's Edge, and now we're into it, and it's starting to. That's a legit, like in my head, it's like 15 feet wide, and just cliffs on either side, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's legit scary.
Yeah.
And Logan's like 7 or 8, and she's just terrified out of her mind.
Yep.
And we're too far into it. Like the day is too far on. We can't go back.
Yeah.
We got to keep going forward. And I'm like, if she freaking locks up, if fear stops her, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Right.
Like I can't.
Did you tie a rope to her or anything, or?
No, didn't. I don't think I even had a rope to her.
Yeah.
Like when I was there, like trying to be ready to catch anything, but she was so terrified, she couldn't walk. She couldn't. She had to crawl.
Yep.
And then she tells me, she's like, "Dad, my feet are really killing me." And we take off her shoes, and she has 2 ingrown toenails, beyond belief.
Damn.
But and we get off the mountain. It's dark. It's like 10 o'clock. My wife's called the state police. My mother's called the Rangers. They're all coming up to find, but she made it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It could have gone bad. I would not recommend that to any father.
No.
But I see a toughness in her from that day. You know what I mean? Like, whatever comes at you, it's just like I kept telling her the whole, like, you got to take one more step.
Yeah.
We just got to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we're going to get off. Dad, how are we going to get off this mountain? One more step.
Yep.
And she doesn't, like, she has, like any teenage girl, insecurities and lack of belief in herself. But I see the toughness that I don't see in her friends. And I did a lot. I mean, that was the only really dangerous thing, but I was quite proud of her.
I was going to say, you must be like super proud
that
moment.
That was amazing. Like, Logan, you don't even understand.
It's pretty badass, though.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Does she remember it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not so much like, I don't think she recalls it to like, oh, that was so bad I can do this.
Yeah.
That's kind of more.
She's probably heard the story enough where she can
Right.
remember herself being there.
But yeah, that was quite a traumatic night.
I can't imagine being the father too, knowing that your job is to protect her.
And I put her in this dangerous situation.
And put her in that danger, so you're feeling guilt. But at the same time, you're like, okay, well, I can feel guilty or I can feel sad or mad. Still got to get across this.
Yeah, I had to
this part,
coach her, motivate her. Like,
and you can't. Yeah, you had to be, fearless.
Yeah.
And pretend that nothing was
And
gonna happen.
Yeah. That was, you know, when we finally got off the dangerous stuff, you know, that was a good feeling.
Like 50 pounds off your shoulders.
Oh my gosh. But that little girl is tough.
That's cool.
And yeah, so like I said, I wouldn't recommend that.
No, but it's cool though, because to put them in tough situations like that.
Right.
And she, I mean, it's not like you could just carry her the whole way. You know, you're on knife's edge. Like,
there was no.
But that's just like life, though. You know, she's gonna go through struggles where, sure, you could probably solve the problem. Right. She might not be able to pay rent 1 month, and you could probably pay the rent for her, but she's not gonna learn anything from it.
Right. And I like, she has teammates that like schoolwork is too much with field hockey, so they quit the field hockey team. And it's like, Logan's doing twice as much or doing as much.
Yeah.
And she's muscling through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she'll have some tears some nights and be pretty upset.
Yep.
Both my girls, they don't deserve the credit for me. Like, you know, luckily they grew up nothing like me.
Yep.
Yeah.
They didn't tie each other up, hog ties.
I was not a good student. I was not.
You weren't a good student?
No. At school,
I picture you getting like straight A's.
I would. Anybody that happens to listen to this that knew me in high school. Well, actually, I was ADD before ADD was a thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Like school was just a blur to me for so long. Like I just didn't, I was smart enough that I could do tests and do all right.
Yeah.
You know, I never did homework.
Yep.
I never studied. I'm actually going to have a teacher on in a couple of days, one of Kaylin's teachers over the years.
Nice.
And one of Kaylin's most inspirational teachers. And I'm interested to see what she thinks about boys, because I feel like schools aren't made for boys.
They're not. I don't think they are.
Like I didn't belong there.
Yeah.
Maybe if I knew about exercising in the morning, like put me through a big workout, then sit me in a classroom, maybe I could have focused a little bit better. But it wasn't until like my junior year, junior year, the school had a thing, if you had study hall, you could get, if you had an A or B average, you could leave the classroom, you have to stay in study hall.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, let's do it.
Yep. Yeah.
And then, you know, that's all it took was a little carrot for me at that point.
I know.
But I was luckily good at math. That was the one thing that saved me.
Do you use math quite a bit in your job right now? Or is it more plugged in?
Yeah. Basic math, it's adding and subtracting for the most part. Yeah.
You're on Bluebeam?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, Bluebeam and Tekla.
Yeah.
So I'm just, So, school wasn't, I mean, were you I see you nodding your head, were you similar in school?
Oh man, I didn't try at all in school. It was, I don't think if I didn't have sports,
well, that was the other thing, right? You had to have a certain grade point.
I would have found ways to skip school and not do anything. But I went to school, I would do homework. I was the kid doing homework when they were collecting it.
That was me.
I would read like the first couple words of the question and then look at the answers and be like, it's probably this answer. And it was enough to get by. I think I was a B average student. Mm-hmm. And I never studied, never did anything. I didn't care. Like I just didn't. Yeah. I felt like so much of it was useless.
Right.
Even in college, I went to Husson and I think there was like 5 classes.
What was your major?
Criminal law.
Okay.
And there was like 5 classes where I actually took something out of it. And the biggest one was professional communications. And that talked about, which is the one I use the most today, really, was public speaking, knowing your audience. So whether or not I'm talking to Shane or I'm talking to a job site or president of another company or whatever. And then it talked about presentations, putting together presentations. Talked about eating with clients. Talked a little bit about sales. Which sales, I've always thought my whole life sales were like this cheesy thing, this cheesy thing.
Totally get it, yeah.
But sales don't always have to be selling a product. Like the product can be you, or the product can be your idea, or the product can be your plan. It doesn't have to be, selling insurance or selling a car. Once I finally got over that grasp, I finally was like able to like move up in career development wise. And it was, majority of it was that Sharon Kobretz was her name, Professor Sharon Kobretz. Learned more in that class. I would go back to that class. She's not teaching anymore, but I would go back to that class just to tell her students, focus on this one. And it was more of a life skills type. Like she literally taught us, hey, if you go to eat in Europe, this is how you're supposed to eat. If you eat in the United States, this is how you're supposed to eat. If you're at a corporate dinner, this is how you should eat. And I was like, well, this is kind of cool. And it's worked out. You know, I've gone to dinners where I've been the nobody, and I'm eating with a bunch of somebodies.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I know how to do this. I know how to eat here. I can at least look like I know what I'm doing.
Well, so I was in engineering at first at UMaine, like their lower level engineering, and I kind of decided I wanted to go to architecture, but I still had, my mother was a professor at Maine, dental hygiene, and I got half tuition, so I'm like, I'm gonna keep going here while I have half tuition, and I took a communication class, and that was literally, like you're saying, I had the same experience. It was small group communication, so it was a very different kind of class, like group dynamics and how it was just such a cool, it was interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And I ended up with a communications degree.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I actually did, so UMaine Augusta had an architecture program, so I was doing that program, but I had to fill out, I was living in Old Town.
Yep.
So I had to fill out my schedule beyond the architectural classes, so I kept taking communication classes.
Yep.
And they're like, I was about to graduate from UMaine Augusta, and they're like, you have 1 or 2 more credits away from having a degree in communications. I'm like, well, I'll get my bachelor's. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
That's cool.
But it's funny you say that, though, because communication was...
But, just being able to communicate being able to communicate, being able to listen. There's a couple studies out there where it talks about, the highest IQ versus, the lowest IQ, and then, average or slightly above average IQ. But the people that the high earners are, the average to above average, middle IQ, but they know how to communicate and listen and have people skills. Because your highest IQ, they may not be socially aware enough to actually communicate what their product is or communicate what they can do, and they end up getting stuck in a dead end job.
Right.
Or they know too much and they can't function. They can't function in today's society. But it's always kind of interesting, how those skills are kind of looked down upon.
Right. So did you go from Husson to military?
Yeah. So I went high school to 1 semester of Husson. I played fall baseball, partied a ton, and did really bad my first semester. Did really bad. I had to write a letter to stay in the school. Right. Because they were like, hey man, you suck. You gotta tell us that you're gonna try harder next semester. And I was like, I will. And my dad was in Iraq at the time, his final tour.
Oh, your dad. So your dad's in the military.
Was in the military. Yeah, he's retired now. And so I just was like, okay, well, I'm gonna take a leave of absence. I'm gonna join the military. So I did 1 semester at Husson, joined the military. Was security forces, so military police. Came home.
That's what Evan's doing in basic.
Oh, no kidding.
He just finished.
For active duty or for Bangor, the guard?
So he did 2 basics. So as a junior, he did basic, and then he did it again he just finished his senior year, so he just did that. Now he's going to Husson right now.
Good for him.
And so I don't know. I don't think he's active.
Yeah.
But he does guard stuff.
Okay.
He will go back to being active when he's done college, I think.
Here or out of state?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows at that point?
Well, either way, good for him.
But he's in the military police.
Yep.
In the military.
Yep. Good for him. So is he done with college, or is he?
Well, he wants to be a game warden.
Oh.
What is his ultimate goal at this point.
Good
he was
for him.
between being a police officer and game warden, but
that's probably the toughest one to get into in the state of Maine.
Which one?
Game warden.
They're desperate though, aren't they?
They are desperate.
Because they can't find people that can pass the PT test.
Is that what it is?
I think that's a big part of it. And you have to have a
very clean
record.
Yeah, the poly for the game warden and the state police is a tough one.
So in that part, he's drug use and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
they want you to be honest too, in those things. They don't want you to lie about. I've had friends that go through and they're like, "Would you give your mom a speeding ticket?" And they're like, "Oh yeah." And they're like, "You're an idiot. Why would you give your mom a speeding ticket? What kind of person are you?"
Right.
Like, they want you to be honest. I would never give my mom a speeding ticket. You know what I mean?
That'd be a tough one.
I would not. I'd be like, "Mom, go home. I'm not raising up for this one."
I finally got power over you.
Yeah. Yeah. Go home and make a crock pot. lasagna or something. I won't write you up.
Right. Yeah. So you were saying Hassan, then
Yeah, Hassan in military, did security forces for almost 4 years, and then switched career fields to engineering and installation down in South Portland. So we like run Cat 6 cable, run fiber optic cable, splice them, terminate them, install manhole trenches, build cell towers, climb cell towers, rig antennas up on them. So basically fixed installation, fixed communication installation. Run excavators, trenchers.
climbing towers. What's that like?
Climbing towers is fun. It was a lot more fun before I had kids,
Right.
because I was scared of nothing back then. But we would climb 300-400 foot towers, and then we'd spend all day up there. So they would actually rig lunch up in a gut bag. We'd sit there and they'd rig antenna and parts up, and we'd put the antenna on, and that was fun because you're up there with your friends in a crappy environment, but you're up there having fun with your friends. I would always climb. One of my best friends, Ben. We joined right around the same time, and he's scared of heights, but he's tough, and no one would know that he's afraid of heights if unless you're really good friends with him. So he would climb right near me, and I would always hit his foot. I would always hit his foot out so he'd catch it, and he'd go like that. And because if I got a little bit scared, I would just kick his foot out because I know he'd be way more scared than me. And then I would climb and flip him off or something and climb up. But he would never admit it. So that was just doing those little things was fun. But then once I had kids, I would climb up. I would climb, and I'd put my positioning linear around. I'd lean back, and I'd look down, and I'm like, wow, I'm 200-300 feet up in the air. Like, if I die, my kids don't have a dad. And I'm like, this isn't fun anymore. I don't enjoy this anymore. And I literally used to be fearless, like literally not scared of anything. Right. And now all of a sudden I'm like, I don't enjoy this anymore. Like my legs start to shake a little bit, and I'm like, wow, this sucks. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. So it kind of was like a roller coaster of emotions. But so now I try to stay on the ground. No, I climb if I have to climb.
So good choice to join the military?
Oh, absolutely. I have learned so much. I've always loved my country. I was raised, patriotic, raised a flag in the front yard. Yeah. My dad was in for 24 years. Always loved my country. I was in 5th grade when 9/11 happened, and my dad got activated. I remember that to the T.
Was he in the Guard?
He was in the Guard, yeah. He was in civil engineering. And so I remember that, and I remember being like, well, I want to join. And so I genuinely joined, for the love of my country. And all the other things were just added benefits, things I didn't think of back then, but healthcare is incredible for my family. I pay a small amount for 100% of healthcare for my whole family. I pay a small amount for dental for my whole family. You get benefits for retirement. I'll have a small pension just from this part-time guard job that may pay for a camp later on or something, or a vehicle or whatever it is. And then, the best part about it is, the camaraderie. I have made one of my best friends, I'm going to his wedding. I'm in his wedding next weekend. Never would have met the guy had I not joined the military. Right. And he's a family friend. My family loves him. My kids love him. My wife and I are both so excited to go spend the weekend with them. And those people we never would have met had it not been for the military. And I've got friends all over the world now. People that I communicate, through text or through email, through Facebook. Been able to see the world, some good, some bad. It's been an amazing experience, and it's already more than halfway over. I only have 9.5 years left if I want to retire. And, retire my 20 years from the Guard. Right. It's like the minimum you need to get a real retirement from there. But I would tell any kid in the state of Maine, in high school or in their younger years in college, to absolutely join the Air Guard or the Army Guard, and then go finish your school. You get free education at any University of Maine system, and then you join the military and you're getting paid, but they're putting you through school. Right. Everything is training in the military. Every single day is some sort of training, but you're getting paid to do it. Right. There's nothing else like that in the world.
What about deployment? So you deployed?
I deployed 4 years ago, and I'm deploying again in the spring.
It's going to be a little different with kids.
This is going to be probably the toughest thing I've ever done in my life, and probably the toughest thing my wife has ever done.
Now, where'd you go the first time?
I did Qatar and Kuwait, and this time we'll be be based out of Germany. We'll be there for like a week, and then we'll go somewhere in Africa for the duration, 6 or 7 months. That will be the thing that gets me through that is knowing that my kids won't remember it.
Right.
Which
How
is
old
3 and 1.
Okay.
3 and 1. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. My son is in my back pocket.
Right.
I mean, when I'm home, he wants nothing to do with anybody but me.
Right.
He is my mini-me. He's my best friend. He wants to go hunting with me, four-wheeling with me. He wants to go to work with me. He wants to do everything I'm doing. He gets into bed with me and cuddles with me. You know, he doesn't want anybody else. So that is going to be, I'm definitely afraid of like the emotional negative impact of leaving for a certain amount of time. You know, they won't remember at that age. They don't understand time.
Right.
He'll have hard days where he wants his dad and he'll cry and he'll get over it because they get over things quick. And, you know, I pray that it doesn't have a long-term negative impact on him, but I firmly believe that certain people have to make impacts or decisions for the greater good.
Right.
And I genuinely believe that, you know, this country needs a powerful military. One thing I always use as an example is, you know, you've lived in Maine your whole life, and how old are you?
Not my whole life, but yeah, I'm 46.
Most of your life you're 46. You look great for 46.
Thank you.
And how many times have you seen troops from other countries walk in your streets?
Right. Never.
Never. We go everywhere, and we're walking the streets everywhere, so that people aren't walking the streets over here.
Right.
And
right.
That's a right that we're not used to. You know, we have a pretty good life over here, and one of the biggest reasons we have that life is because we're so dominant throughout the entire world. Somebody has to be Big Brother.
Right.
And I'm all right with that being us.
Now, when you were deployed, was it during your fearless time?
Yep.
Was it a scary situation you're in?
No, I wasn't in combat. The only time I was scared was we were at a place called Al Jaber, and during Desert Storm, Saddam was there, and the French built these bomb-proof shelters for the jets and for personnel, and we came through and bombed the crap out of them during Desert Storm, and so that base got torn down and deactivated. We went there to reactivate that base, build it up. So we lived in tents, but everything was new construction. So they were building new buildings. We were running cable and fiber optics to it. But the problem was we would be running a trencher and an excavator and a backhoe through these fields and installing manholes and running cable. But the fields were full of artillery shells and bomb shells and stuff. So we would have to call and work with EOD. EOD would come out and we would say, hey, we have to run cable, you know, a mile this way. Can you clear a path for us? They would get in their suits. They would go out and they would either detonate things if they had to detonate things or find shells and move them. And they would come back and they'd be like, hey, you know, you should be good. And we're like, what do you mean? And they're like, yeah, if you stay between those two flags, like, you should be good.
Should be.
And we're like, those two flags, that's like a hallway. We have to run that piece of equipment. So every day we run a piece of equipment. I'm like, what are you going to do?
Right.
You know, I got to do it. So the first couple times you're like, geez, I wonder if I'm going to hit something. And then you're like, whatever.
But if that's you now, having to do the same kind of thing.
I'd call EOD back over. I'd pull a little bit of rank and say, no, come make this wider. We're going to spend a little more time on this. We're going to do this wider. So I'm actually leading a team this time.
Right.
My first time I was a newbie. Now I have 6 or 7 people below me. So that goes into a thought process too. You know, I've got to worry about them instead of just worrying about myself. So it'll be a whole new slew of experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what that area of the world's going to be. I mean, I assume you've never been to Africa.
I've never been to Africa. There's a lot of other countries are getting over to Africa to get a footprint in Africa. Right. So, you know, we're going to Djibouti, we're going to Kenya, we're going to Niger or Niger if you're French. And a lot of it's like tent city and new construction.
Right.
But that's also like the fastest economy, you know, growing wise right now. Really. But I've seen pictures and talked to other people that have deployed over there, and it's like piles of garbage and piles of trash, and you know, talk about a third world country.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. So what about growing up? What Maine? Like you choosing to raise your kids in Maine.
Yeah. Easy choice.
Why is that?
Easy choice. Lived in Texas for a couple of years through the military. I've been to a few different countries. I've been to a bunch of different states. And Maine is just, I love Maine. I love this part of Maine. And I love where I can raise kids. You really don't have to lock your doors in your cars. You don't have to lock your house. Your neighbors, 9 times out of 10, are very, very great people.
Right.
That end up being like friends and family. Not a ton of traffic, not a ton of people. My dog runs loose. You're friends with just about everybody on the road. The schools are, you have a lot of choice of schools around here. They're not huge schools.
Right.
So your kid's not getting lost in the bunch. The village helps raise your kids. All those reasons. It's a safe place. Maine is a very safe place. It was a no-brainer for us. We talked about living in Boston. My wife went to Bay State down there for fashion school, and she was dead set on living in Boston. And I told her I would move down there and find a job doing something, and we ended up staying home and deciding that we wanted to raise kids where we grew up.
Right.
And it's been a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So you lived outside of Maine?
Yep. So I went to grad school in Boston.
Okay.
And I met Dee. So I was working in an architectural firm in the South Shore, and Dee lived in just outside Providence. She was working in Providence,
Yep.
and I ended up moving in with her. So we were on, literally like 4 houses down was the border to Rhode Island.
Yep.
So we're right on the border of Rhode Island. And so she had the 2 older kids that I moved in with, and Jeff was freshman, going into his freshman year in high school, and he had a good bunch of friends, but they were like, you could see them all just getting lost, like you said, and they had like police dogs coming through the school every week, and kids taking on handcuffs, and it wasn't a huge. I mean, it was just for like Massachusetts. It felt similar to this area, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'd come back here, and Dee she'd always be like, "This is Happy Land." She's like, "At Dunkin' Donuts, they actually say please and thank you."
Yeah.
I'm like, like I hadn't noticed. You're in it, and the aggressiveness. Everybody's out to get everybody kind of attitude.
Yeah. Just like they drive. Just like
right.
they drive.
Just like they drive.
Yeah.
Right. And just being in it, and how I come back here and just like.
Yeah.
So we started watching. We didn't like what we were seeing happening in the schools, and Jeff was a smart kid, but it's like didn't like the path that seemed like he was going on. We decided to let's move here.
Yep.
And we decided, well, like at the time they were telling us our house was worth a stupid amount of money. We're like, we're gonna sell it. We're gonna build a house here, have no mortgage, and literally the market fell apart the day we put it.
What year was that?
Oh geez, I might forget. When did the market collapse?
08?
So 08.
Yeah.
07, 08, right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we moved here, and we ended up having to hold on. It took 3 or 4 years to even sell, and we ended up short selling on that house. And it was just like.
Why'd you pick Hamden?
Well, so my best friend was living in Winterport, and he was definitely selling hard on Winterport.
Yeah.
And we were into the idea of Winterport.
Yeah.
And but Dee worked from home, and she needed high speed internet. And every property we were finding there.
I think they still struggle with that, don't they?
Yeah. Especially the more rural kinds of.
Yeah.
And we just happened onto this property that close enough there where we wanted to be, and I kind of knew Hamden was, pretty well at the time. They just put in the turf, I think.
Yep.
The new high school was coming.
Yeah.
So it was like,
It is a great school.
so we were like, Hamden's a good spot. Yeah. And my parents have a place in Damascata, so it's this side of Bangor, a little bit closer, and so, but we just.
Is that where they live, Damascota?
They're snowbirds.
Oh, okay.
So they do Daytona and Damascata.
For them.
Yeah.
Do you ever go down to Florida?
A couple times. We used to as kids, but
Yeah.
we've been once to their condo.
You're almost at the point now where your kids are, they don't need you, so you can just scoot down to Florida especially where you guys are working from home.
Right.
What's stopping you from working there for a
Right.
couple of weeks?
Yeah.
My mother-in-law's moving to Tampa.
I gotta say, I've never been a fan of Florida. It's like that's the last place I want to be. But then hearing them talk and all the activities for seniors at that age.
Yeah.
It's like, there's so much to do when you're that age.
Florida always has a ton to do.
Right.
I also like where Florida's going politically. I like Ron DeSantis and
Right.
what he's done with allowing people to still have freedoms. You know,
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And tax reasons to be there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like very pro people and like less government. At least where they're headed right now, which is nice.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Can I pee? I feel like a new man. Thanks.
No problem. So, I didn't grow up in a hunting family.
Yeah.
We were never against hunting.
Yep.
Just wasn't a thing that I grew up with. I had friends that did, and I'd go out with them.
Yeah.
But I never, I shot a couple guns as a kid.
Yeah.
Did you grow up with hunting?
No, I didn't grow up. with hunting, but so I grew up with my in-laws that none of my in-laws now.
Right.
I was best friends with my brother-in-law, and his father was and is a big hunter, biggest influencer for hunting in my life, and so I hunted with them for a while, and then the older I got, the more I really cared about it. So now I hunt as much as I can and take my kids hunting, but a lot of my closest friends hunt. I hunt with my father-in-law, hunt with my brother-in-laws, and that's a real good time.
Yeah.
That's like something special about being in the woods. Just you and your thoughts. That's the coolest part about it. And then there's something special about scouting, like finding deer tracks, finding rubs, finding scrapes, tracking the wind, tracking what the leaves are going to look like a month from now, tracking food sources.
What do you mean tracking the leaves?
Like right now, if I set a tree stand up, 2 weeks from now, it's going to look a lot different. Like my shot is going to look a lot different, or my visibility is going to look a lot different because the leaves haven't dropped yet.
And you mostly bow hunt or only bow hunt?
I bow hunt more than I rifle hunt,
Okay.
but I do both as much as I can, which isn't as much as I want right now.
Right.
Kids again, but and then tracking deer, finding where you think deer are coming from, putting a tree stand up, and then sitting there and seeing deer where you thought they were going to come from is a wicked cool thing because you didn't disrupt their area. You feel like you outsmarted them. You're sitting there and you're watching deer. You're like, wow, I found this area. I found this tree. I outsmarted these animals, and now I'm watching them. And that's like really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then, the hunt, that's like half of the hunt. And then it's like you see a deer that you're ready to take. Like if you're bow hunting, you're right on top of them, 10, 20 yards. And you get the shakes because you're about to kill something, which is not a normal thing. Like I didn't grow up just like shooting squirrels or shooting birds or like I still don't. I mean, I don't like killing animals. I don't step on a spider because it's a spider. I don't step on an ant because it's an ant. Like
I went with a friend with a BB gun and shot a little bird. I remember he bawled my eyes.
Yeah,
Like,
that's sad.
And he laughed at me. He was a big time hunter.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this isn't.
I have friends that do that too, and I'm like, why would you do that? I was with a kid paintballing one time, and he shot a cardinal with a paintball. I'm like, why would you do that?
Right.
Like that's never made sense to me.
I did shoot an albino deer with a paintball gun. Because I lived in
that's
an
no
old
big-
town.
that's not
the
gonna.
deer walk up to you, but it was albino. It was calling for some paint on it.
He needed some paint. It's bad luck to shoot an albino.
Paintball?
No, probably not paintball. I mean, that's what I mean. That their fur is so thick. That's not even gonna.
Right.
wouldn't
So
phase
back
me.
to you're in the tree stand.
Yeah, so you're in a tree stand, you see a deer come through that you're ready to kill, and you've got to focus. You know what I mean? And I definitely shake. I know most people shake when they see deer, and it's almost like everything around you stops. Noises, feelings, thoughts. Your only thought is where you're gonna put that bullet, or where you're gonna put that arrow
Right.
on that deer. And everything around you is like blurry or black or blurry, and you just see the deer, you're looking through and take a breath and you pull the trigger and you just smack, and a deer jumps and you're like, I think I hit it. And you're supposed to wait 20, 30 minutes to let the deer bleed out so that you don't push it and chase it. That's the longest 20 or 30 minutes of your life, because you're like, I want to know if I killed that deer or not. You go down, you find blood, you make a, like for me, I always call my father-in-law, hey, I'm at stand number whatever, I just hit one, I found blood. And he always talks to me like I'm a little kid. All right, stab an arrow in that leaf where you see blood, and don't wait or don't track it. Just wait for me. Do you think you know where he ran? And he's always talking. He's always talking to me like I'm 13, 14, 15 again, which is cool. It's fun. I know it's so much fun for him. It's so much fun for me. And then you track that deer, and you find the deer, and it's dead, and you killed the deer. You successfully completed the hunt, and then you clean the deer out. You drag the deer back, and you get to eat the deer. And not many things in life are as satisfying as you talk about farm to table. That's about as farm to table as it gets. Like there's this instinctual feeling in men. That's where we came from, right? Cavemen killing things to eat, to provide for your family, and you still have that in you. Hunt, kill, and then you get to eat that animal, and you put that animal to good use. That is an incredible feeling.
How long did you deer last you?
What's that?
Like the meat itself, like is that?
Oh, a couple of years, easy.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. I have deer meat in my freezer from 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, I just had some the other day. I didn't kill a deer last year.
Right.
I saw a bunch of deer and missed a couple times, but it's an incredible feeling. It's an incredible feeling.
It's gonna be cool to think about passing that on too.
Oh yeah, and I can't wait. Which I already have. We hunt all the time, and I want him. We talked about your kids being better versions of you. I'm already taking him. Last year, about a month ago, we were walking through the woods in my father-in-law's house, and I've always talked to my son, just like we're talking right now. I just talk, and my wife was like picking on me, just being funny. And she's like, "You talk to him like he's an adult, and he's not understanding what you're saying." Right. And I'm like, "Well, we might get parts of it." And I'm talking about deer tracks, and I'm like, "Yeah, Knox, look at that deer track. You can tell by the way, you put your two knuckles in it, which way he's going." And so, I don't know if he's listening to me or not. On our way back, he started, da-da, deer track. And he's pointing at the deer track. And I'm like, yeah, you picked that up. You just learned that was a deer track. So now we go in the woods, and he looks for deer poop. And like hardened deer poop it's clean. It's fine. You pick it up and throw it. Right. And we throw it at each other just being funny, which grosses everybody out. But he loves looking for rubs, loves looking for antlers. So he's already...
Now rubs like on trees?
Yeah, so a rub is on a tree and a scrape is on the ground.
Okay.
And they just rub the velvet off their antlers on the tree. And it's just so much fun. So much fun getting out there where he's, he'll pretend to see a deer or he'll pretend to see tracks, but just the fact that he's thinking about it already. Right. And he already has this passion for it. He runs around with a little Nerf bow and pretends to, hunt things in the house. And he's going to be 30 times the hunter I've ever been. And the big thing is just, one thing I do think about is where I didn't grow up hunting as a kid. I didn't grow up killing deer. Right. I have that respect for animals. Where I genuinely don't enjoy killing. Right. Animals. I enjoy the process of the hunt. I enjoy eating the animal, but I don't want to. A party. I guess a part of you enjoys the kill, which sounds horrible, but I think it's the process. The adrenaline of it. I want him to have that same compassion for animals. Right. I swerve out of the way for a squirrel on the road. I swerve out of the way for a turtle or a frog. I want him to have that thought process too. So one thing I always think about is, if I'm exposing him to death so early, I don't want him to become numb to it. Right. I still want him to have that feeling in his gut, like,
so how do you do that?
Is this right? Is this wrong? Right. I feel kind of sad. I remember as a kid seeing like my uncle shoot a deer, and I remember like looking at it and just being like, well, this is kind of sad. I still want him to have that understanding of it, that it's that's a life that we took. And this is why it's important, and this is what it means to us, and now we're going to feed our family on it.
Well, if you think of how messed up it is that we walk into a grocery store and buy a dead animal.
I know, but people don't.
And there's no connection to that whatsoever.
No connection to that.
Yeah, factory farming and
I know.
that whole...
Yeah, which is horrible.
Right.
Like chickens raised on top of each other. Chickens are injected with so much HGH that their breasts are so big they can't even walk, or they can't even reproduce themselves because they can't mount each other because their breasts are so big.
And somebody will frown on a hunter or give them crap, but they're eating those chickens.
The other thing about hunting in this area specifically is we're going to hit those deer with vehicles.
Right.
100% you're going to hit those deer with vehicles. which we do an astronomical amount already. So like the deer, especially the nuisance deer, like in town archery, that is vital to safety in your communities. That people kill those deer,
Right.
Because you're gonna hit them with vehicles.
Have you ever done moose? Or anything?
I've put in for moose tags.
Yeah.
I've never shot a moose though.
Yeah.
I've never gotten a tag. I've never got a permit, but I'd love to. I've never shot a bear. I've never shot a moose. I've shot turkeys. I've shot deer.
Have you seen a bear out in the woods?
I've seen a bear out in the woods. Yeah, from far away.
I got chased by one right over here
Did you really?
on my run.
I wonder if you were near their cubs or something. Because usually they don't.
Literally right up the hill is a little corner store.
Yep. Yeah, Neely's.
Neely's,
Yeah.
right, which isn't a store anymore.
No.
I turn the corner right there and I hear a growl. And before I know it, I'm across the street.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember crossing
What
the
time
street.
is this morning? Or?
Morning, yeah. So I hear a growl and I hear and I look up and 3 cubs are going up the tree faster than I can go on the ground. They're going vertically. It blew my mind how fast these cubs are going up the tree.
Yeah.
It like time was like standing still in this, and I'm like, so I don't remember crossing the road. I remember seeing that, and I look back, and there's Mama Bear at the bottom of the tree,
Yeah.
like looking at me. And
Was she standing up or was she?
I don't think so. I think she was just. I don't remember exactly how she was standing, but I remember just like walking eyes kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, what the hell do I do?
Yeah.
And I just, like, I'm like looking at houses, like, where can I go? What can I do? And I'm just backing away slowly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until
So you stopped running.
I stopped right, but yes.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went backwards slowly.
Yeah.
Until I got out of sight and then freaking
Yeah.
took off. Holy crap. I remember I was talking, there was a girl that I worked with who was an avid hunter, bear hunter. And she's like, oh, that bear is, I'm like, how big do you think big that bear was? She's like, probably about 150 pounds. I'm like, oh, shit, she was in my weight class.
Yeah, but
yeah, no chance. Oh my God. That was terrifying. And then then everybody that knew that experience happened started sending me pictures of like runners being run down, and, by bears.
Yeah.
And, like, this, and just recently there was a, one of the hunter on Rogan was showing.
Oh, was Steve Ranella?
Steve was just on recently.
Yeah.
There was a bear that they mounted on a cart, and it would come at you at 30 miles per hour, and you'd stand back to it, and they'd say go, and you'd spin around and see if you can get the bear spray into the face or something fast enough. They come on you fast.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Did you hear the Steve Ranella story?
With the bear breathing behind his back.
Yeah, and did they kill one of his friends or they?
I don't know if I heard that one.
Yeah.
He was just telling one where he was turkey hunting, and he didn't know the bear was behind him until he felt the breath on the back of his neck.
Holy crap!
And he turned, and then the bear just went. That stuff scares me.
They were. I don't remember the full story. Steve Ranella was hunting with a few buddies. I want to say it was Alaska, and they were all carrying sidearms, and he said it was like the first time they put their sidearms down, and a grizzly bear came out. I might be combining 2 stories, but regardless, I want to say maybe it wasn't him, or maybe he was telling the story of a friend or something like that. But I think it killed one of them, and the other people. I want to say they climbed a tree and like watched it happen because there was really nothing they could do.
You even climbing a tree away from a bear.
Right.
That was the creepy. It was like you see like horror previews for horror flicks because I don't really watch horror flicks, but they're going up the walls or something.
Yeah.
It was like those bears going up the tree. It's like holy crap.
That's creepy. Like watching a bear climb a tree and watching a goat climb a mountain.
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like how they can do it.
I just had goat. Crown goat.
Oh.
At the farmer's market here in Hamden.
Was it those goat right down the road? On
I don't know where they're.
202 there?
I think they were from Newport or something.
Yeah.
But whether the farmer had ground goat, and I'm like, what's that like? And she's like, oh, it's between lamb and beef. I'm like, well, I love lamb and I love beef. So I tried it. It was so good.
Really?
My daughters were like, this is like the best hamburger I've ever had.
Did they cut it with?
It was ground already.
Yeah.
So I just made it into
did they cut it with like pork fat or bacon or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Must be pretty lean. I feel like goat would be.
It was
pretty
definitely
lean.
on the lean side.
Yeah.
It was so good.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I was surprised by it.
I go to Worcester's in Charleston. That's where I bring my deer to get butchered. And every once in a while they'll sell boxes they have all their own farm raised animals, and they'll just say, hey, we're selling a 50-pound box of meat for whatever amount of dollars.
Right.
And they don't even tell you what's in it. You just go and you buy it. And usually you get like a couple big hams, a couple big chicken breasts, and then, pig or bacon and pork and all kinds of stuff. And it's farm raised. So I would rather spend the extra dollar on that stuff than going to Shaw or Hannaford and buy a flavorless piece of meat.
So now we're on topic. You're mostly protein?
Oh yeah,
So
everything
diet wise, like
yeah, protein. Every
I'm
meal.
guessing by you had a stretch where it was just eat anything.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. I'm at the tail end of that stretch there. Now every meal I eat it's protein surrounded by.
Are you doing like keto?
No.
Not
Not by any means. I still eat my carbs. I love carbs and I need carbs. Like I'll get my carbs from a lot of fruit. Like I love oranges. A lot of carbs there. But I'll still eat like pasta. Like if I'm doing like a leg day or like a heavy bench day or something like that, then my wife will ask what we want to eat for dinner, and I'm like, oh, tonight would be a great night for homemade ramen or homemade pasta or spaghetti and meatballs or something like that. I'll always love that kind of food. But we'll both eat chicken and veggies a couple nights a week for dinner.
Right.
We do a lot of chicken sausage and like onions and peppers in a skillet. We'll eat that.
So you're more like paleo.
Yeah, I guess. Or like a
more food, real food.
Yeah, Mediterranean
Less
style,
processed.
Yeah. We try to do as less processed as we can. We tried that with our kids too, which is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
But we still do a ton of mac and cheese, mac and cheese and hot dogs for the kids. But just calories for the kids is it. But we bought an air fryer. I don't know if you have an air fryer.
That's been on our list.
Go buy it.
Yeah.
You will not regret it. I buy frozen bags of shrimp, frozen bags of fresh caught salmon, chicken breast, everything. It's the most tender, juiciest meat you cook. So like I'll build lunches on Sunday for the week, and I'll do salmon, shrimp, diced chicken, all kinds of stuff. And you put it in the air fryer for like 10 minutes, and it's awesome. And I'll do like the carb-friendly wraps. So I still get my carbs. I need carbs to get. I literally will shake through my boots if I don't get.
That's an interesting thing you're tapping on there. So, have you done any fasting?
I've done intermittent fasting, and that's fine. That's easy. Like an 11 to 8.
Right.
Which whenever I ever wanted to like lose weight, intermittent fasting for me works because I don't snack at night.
Right.
But I love, one of the things I love, like tonight, my wife and I were going to have date night. We're going to watch a Netflix movie. We will sit on the couch with I'll have like a glass of red wine or a whiskey, and she'll have like a Tito's and water. Yep. And we will both get a bag of Tostitos and hummus, and we'll eat that. And we love that. But we both understand that's like not the healthiest snack. But we love it. We love sitting there and crunching on Tostitos and hummus.
So my cousin mentions to me about the whole ultra marathon things, which I wasn't aware of. And then he's like, I want to try like a 3-day, 5-day, 6-day, long fast. So I'm like, okay. So now that's been planted in my head, so I have to freaking do it. So I do a 3-day fast, and it blew my mind. It's a mental challenge. You're constantly like, food comes up in your mind, and it wants to like I'm doing work or whatever, and food wants to overwhelm my thoughts. Like you literally have to like mind over mind. Yeah. You have to push that back. Yeah. But you get into a zone where you feel great. You feel like it's like you've seen shows like Alone or
yeah.
These guys are going long ass times with no food, and they're still doing all kinds of work.
Yeah.
So the first 3-day fast was like, okay, that's interesting, but I didn't work out. I basically didn't work out. My second time I did a 3-day fast, I did my full Ironman training. Workout morning, noon, and night. I had 3 workouts a day for 3 days straight, and hard workouts, like hard workouts. I definitely was low on speed. I didn't need it, and it messed with my mind so much now because it's like wants and needs.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll have a donut, and 10 minutes later I've got the freaking shakes. Yeah. And it's like, is that a real thing, or is it just my brain telling me? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like when you're saying the shakes, is that really a need, or is it just your brain playing tricks on you? Because it's
both.
And so then I did a 5-day fast. And after the first day sucks. It's kind of like running. The first day sucks, and then you just get into the zone. It's not bad.
What was the point? What was the biggest point of doing it though?
Same reason you do cold showers.
Yeah.
Just there's a certain amount of me that I beat up on myself, and then I need to feel like I'm a badass too.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm a badass. At just
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
That. So
oh, that's cool.
But and then I heard Lex Friedman say this on his podcast. Anytime he goes out to dinner, he fasts that entire day, because that meal tastes better to him than any other meal.
Yeah.
It makes any meal special, and it's like you do a 3-day fast. I don't care if you're having McDonald's hamburger. That's like the best thing you've ever had.
Yep.
I mean, that burger today.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how good it was.
No, it was delicious.
It was ridiculous to me. It was like,
that's funny. I've never done any kind of long-term fasting like that. It sounds horrible.
It's not bad. It really isn't. You don't like. I don't have. There's no hunger pains that nothing like that. It's just your brain just wants to wander back to food.
Do you feel slower, like mentally?
No, shocker.
You pound water though, right? You still drink like
I have like electrolyte, 0-calorie electrolyte natural thing I drink. That.
Did you lose weight?
Yeah, not much. I mean,
did you poop?
No, it's mostly liquids. Pretty quickly. It's mostly liquids. I pee like last night. I mean, I never get up to pee. I was up 3 times. Like just because I'm drinking fluids to stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
But like I said, the wants versus needs thing. It's like, what do I really need? What? My cousin JT will be like, seriously. He goes, 1 steak. You give me a steak, that's enough.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that's happened for me, not for a day, but for my training, like, so my first marathon, I hit a wall. Like, they call it the wall. And it's basically you can't digest enough calories to get through it.
Right.
Your body doesn't just digest fat. So switching your body onto being more burning fat, keto-ish.
Like you see in Alone.
Right. And so, like, I've done multiple marathons with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't need any, like, where I'll hit a wall if I'm doing carbs.
Yeah.
I'll hit a wall, but if I have nothing, if I eat nothing at all and just drink, I have no problem.
No kidding.
And
it's probably because like your body hurts if it's been there and then it crashes. So it's like your body knows what it is to have.
Your body is burning fat.
Yeah.
Your body literally becomes efficient at burning fat and using fat as a fuel. So then and that's just a slow burning you have like thousands of calories of body fat on you that you can use. So you're just tapping into that.
Yeah.
And also eating like I'll have like a tablespoon of coconut oil before I go for a run.
Yep.
And it's like a slow burning fuel. It's getting my body ramped up on fat.
Yep.
But it really, like, the whole carb thing, I was always like, this is the dumbest thing in the world to go no carbs. And I don't go no carbs.
Yeah.
I definitely get my carbs.
What's your main source of carbs when you eat carbs? Like veggies or?
Yeah, nuts, veggies, nuts and veggies are the two.
Like, do you eat bread? Do you eat toast?
I do, but I try to avoid it when I can.
Yep.
The more processed stuff I can avoid. Yep. I definitely have for me, like when I have like a race or something I'm gearing up to, I love it when I get like a month out from a race. I got 3 weeks of locked in, and I go hardcore keto.
Yep.
And then I start bringing carbs back in that last week.
Yep.
And then it's my taper week, and I'm taking it easy, and I feel like crap that whole week.
Yep.
And then I'm locked in. Like, I love that month.
Yeah.
And then I cheat like crazy for, like, I just had before this fast. Part of the reason I'm fasting because I was eating like shit for like weeks.
What's your number one cheat meal?
My problem isn't so much that there's a cheat meal. It's like once I start, I can't stop.
Yep.
I don't have that off mechanism. I don't.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get, actually recently I've got into dark chocolate more and more.
Yeah. That's not horrible.
Well, because it's better, and it actually makes me not like the sweeter chocolates as much.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
So that's worked out as a nice little trick for me, so I don't go so bad. But like, I start on a bag of chips or a donut. Yeah. Next thing I know, I've finished, or a piece of pizza. Forget about it. Like, I'm eating the whole thing. I know. I'll tell myself only one slice. It's like, but I know
it doesn't even satisfy anything.
I know I'm going for that whole thing, or a bowl of cereal. It's like, and I feel like crap. I have this thing in my head too. I'll feel like crap. I'll eat something to feel better.
Yeah.
I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I'll eat something else, and I keep trying to find that.
Well, that's like the hangover effect, or like the when you're drunk effect. You just keep eating things, and you're eating so many empty calories after drinking empty calories.
Yeah.
absolutely killing your body.
Yeah. So that's been that. It's amazing how much, like, JT and I keep challenging ourselves, like, how much can we do fasted? And I keep hitting new I'm like, how was I able to train so hard for 3 days, hardcore,
Yeah.
and didn't feel much loss in energy.
I mean, you're gonna hit I'm sure you could do longer, but I mean, eventually you hit.
Oh, absolutely.
You hit an absolute breaking point where,
right.
You become delusional and your body.
Oh yeah.
Your organs start to dry up.
And 5 felt like that. At the end of 5, I was like, okay, and at the end of 3 when I was working out, I was like, okay, that's all I got. Right.
But that's cool to think about though, because if you said you wanted to get into hunting at some point, right? You say you get lost, out there, you're like,
right.
To you're like, well, food probably isn't my primary source right now because I bet I can get out of here in less than 5 days.
Right.
Or less than 3 days. So I'm going to try to find shelter and warmth because you already blocked that out. I can do this. I can do this 3 days. Like where if I was lost in the woods, I know I could do it, but I would definitely be thinking like, I got to find some warmth and I got to kill something.
And these things I'm feeling in my body, like, oh shit.
You're going to get over it.
Yeah, it's like, it's a cool mental challenge. Like I really do enjoy it when I'm in the fast. Like and I feel like a badass. I really do for whatever reason.
I'll try it. I'll try it at some point. I don't know. I feel like I have to find the right time. Like I feel like I wouldn't want my family around. I feel like I'd be like snap or get mad.
But honestly, I'm like, I'm definitely like poster child for hangry, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not that way on fasting.
No kidding.
No. Like you get by that initial, it's literally like the first couple miles in the road.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it's just it's a weird discomfort, but it like I said, the wants needs thing. It has me questioning everything. Like, do I really want now we start to think about everything. Do I really want that, or do I need that?
I know.
I know. Yeah, fasting's cool. It definitely changed, and it's the only way I can run. Like I said, the only way to get to 100 miles, as far as I'm concerned, is you have to have your body trained to burn fat.
So you've run. Have you run 75 miles yet?
No, that's coming up the end of this month.
And you're gonna do it where?
So we're doing it in Connecticut at my brother-in-law's house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
So the 3 of you?
The 30th. My brother-in-law's not a runner.
No.
JT and I, and then Evan, Keon's boyfriend's gonna do like 20 with us. He's trying to build up to a marathon.
Cool.
Yeah, but so we did a backyard ultra. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I think you were telling me about that.
So 4 miles every hour, 4.1.
And you did it in the forest, didn't you? You did it at the
University Forest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's kind of like, I'm debating on whether I want to do another Ironman, or they have actually one in Maine, southern Maine, that's a competition. The same guy's won it like 3 years in a row. He's done like 146 miles.
So explain that one again. You run 4 miles.
4.167 miles every hour. So it works out to be, if you go 24 hours, you're at 100 miles.
So do you sleep ever?
If you can finish fast enough, so every hour you have to be at the starting line. It's a really cool event because everybody's at the starting line. Can
you save time? Like if you run really fast?
You run fast, you get more time. You run slow, you just keep. Yeah.
So what were you running
So we were doing
4 mile in?
We were going pretty slow. So our strategy was to walk the downhills. Yeah. I was actually walking the uphills. JT was walking the downhills. So we come in with we do like a 10-minute mile average.
Yeah.
And then we come in and we'd have, 15 to 18 minutes. But then your body tightens up, especially as
so you probably just walked though. If you wanted to rest, you just walked.
But you still got to make it in time.
Yeah.
So walking, you can't do a 13-minute.
Oh, the second you start again, your time starts.
Top of the hour, right? It starts again. So you got to keep hitting that time, and you keep getting closer and closer to the time.
Yeah, right.
And then it's and then things tighten up on you. It's definitely difficult.
Could you eat while you're doing it?
Yeah.
You got gel packs and
whatever you
bananas.
Want to do, you just got to finish that loop in a set amount of time.
How many people did it?
Oh, it was just him and I.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's funny. Do you have headlamps and stuff, or?
Well, we did. We made it. We started at 6 a.m. I think, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And we made it to a little into dark. So yeah, we had headlamps, and we were at 56 miles.
Good for
we
you.
both were our bodies aren't handling So,
Yeah.
We just like you stop for a while and you go to run. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't get things going again.
So what'd you eat that night?
So afterwards,
Yeah.
He eats like crazy. I can't eat anything. Like even after like we did an Ironman and we did a big turkey dinner afterwards.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't eat anything.
Really?
Yeah, my stomach's just not in that place.
Yeah.
I had for me drinking all the electrolytes and stuff, my mouth was like not like felt like I was drinking a charge of glass.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
First time I've experienced that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100's gonna be interesting.
That's crazy.
But
Good for you guys. That's cool.
Yeah, we're doing this one where we don't really have a plan. We're just gonna leave his house and we're like carry whatever we have to carry to try to do it. And
Yeah.
stop at gas stations or whatever.
I mean, do you have your route picked out? You're just gonna run.
We're gonna wing it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Where in Connecticut do they live?
I can't.
We're going there. We're going there. I think in November to visit a friend, and they live in like Windsor, East Granby.
They're
area.
south of Hartford, I believe. I can't. I'm always seeing their football helmets. And I can't think. My brain doesn't want to picture it. Yeah,
Well, that'll be cool.
that's our request. And then we want to do 100. And
Yeah.
try for 100
Yeah.
early winter or a really cold day.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah,
You gonna bring an extra set of shoes or just rough it out with one pair of shoes?
I'll just go one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have actually my shoes literally just came in the mail today. That it's got to be my running ones for that day.
What'd you buy?
So, I'm Atreyu. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're
Nope.
in Texas. They're a startup company,
Yep.
and they just changed, but they were subscription. So like, and it's $55 a pair of shoes.
Yep.
And every 2 months you get a pair.
Oh, cool.
They're literally nothing to them.
Yeah.
They're just simple, basic running shoes, but they're stupid light.
Yep.
And I don't need all the support. Like if anything, I think the support causes more problems than it's
Yeah.
worth. So
Well, you're not going side to side, so you don't
Right,
need
exactly.
support that way.
and most of the support that you find in running shoes, like I find that's what chafes my foot.
Yeah.
You know, so like this just simple upper and
Yep.
nice padding, and they just came up with a version 2. So I'm gonna. That's
That's
my
cool.
shoe. Yeah.
You're kind of a shoe guy. Anyway, though, I've always noticed like at company functions and stuff, you have like sharp, clean shoes
Yeah.
that match your clothes.
Match my belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did that just for you.
I respect that. You remembered that last time, didn't you?
No, so I worked. It's so funny. Like in college, I worked at a sports shoe store,
Yeah.
and we'd always get discounts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I ended up with so many pairs of shoes that they'd never go bad.
Yeah.
Because I was rotating.
Yeah.
And it's so.
That's like my brother-in-law. He has so many pairs of shoes. They all look brand new.
And I've never spent like. Normally I don't. Like we go to Dick's, and you know how they have like the stickers 70%. I'd always find one in my size. It was like 75%.
Yeah.
It's an $11 pair of shoes, sweetheart. I gotta get it.
It's like going to Martin's.
Right.
You got to do it.
So I have it's become an addiction. And then having a subscription company.
That's not bad though. If you're running as much as you run, you need shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like these I've had a month and I have over 300 miles in them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm bad at that. I still have the same pair of running shoes I had in Kuwait the first time around, and I was running all the time there. And I'm like, why do I even have these things? No wonder my knees hurt. Like, what am I doing? Spend $60. It's gonna be all right.
There's definitely a difference when they like. So when I got this pair, I did a little video which I ended up not posting because it came out like crap. But I tried on like I had the old pair that I had like 300 miles in. And these new ones, I'm like, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
Like there's some spring in this, and there's no spring left in the other. But I had a stretch where I did like barefoot running. No, the barefoot running shoes, not the
finger shoes.
No, but they were like really thin foams. They were actually by Skechers at the time.
Yeah.
And I really liked that. Like
Really?
to feel the road a bit. It was some cushion, but it definitely helped my stride, like my technique.
Like on the hot top.
Yeah.
See, I would picture wearing those, but on like a trail, because I feel like the hot top is just rough.
Right.
Like you would want the extra support.
Yeah, but the thing you quickly learn is like if your foot is like if you have too much cushion, your heel can take a strike.
Yeah.
You're running a barefoot, and it wasn't like all like serious barefoot. It was kind of like a little bit padding.
Yeah.
But you land where your foot's supposed to land.
That's true.
And it definitely helped me technique wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you no? So the Ranger School thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
Do you actually want to go to Rangers?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
I do really bad. If I didn't have this deployment coming up, I probably would have put my name in the pool. But the past year, just the past year and a half, they have put that open to Air Force side or Air National Guard side in the state of Maine, where as long as you get a certain score on your PT test, and then you have to do like pre-Ranger school where you just have to have someone officially monitor it.
Right.
And then if they see that you pass those scores, then you have to get recommended by your first line supervisor, put you in for the nomination, and then they'll accept you or not. And that is something that is definitely on my bucket list. You know, obviously I have deployment next year, but there's no reason I can't, you know, be in better physical shape,
Right.
you know, to do it. It's known as one of the hardest courses you can take in the military, and it's more of a leadership and a mental thing than anything. Right. And no one in the Air National Guard, as far as my knowledge goes, has done it. So I'd love to be, you know, the competitive side of me wants to be the first one to do it. And then I also just want to do it. I think it would be one of the most challenging things I could ever do. And then the things I could learn from it, you know, put it on my professional resume, and then just to have that, you know, that feeling of like you say, you know, I'm a badass.
Right, exactly.
I did something freaking cool.
Yeah.
And then also, like, you know, to do it on the Air Guard side of things, like the Air Force side of things, and be doing it with a bunch of Army guys, I would want to be like the best one there, because they're always branches always crap on each other. They're going to say that we're the chair force. I'm going to tell them they don't know how to read a book. Right. You know, it's all in good humor, but I want to be I want to be the 32-year-old guy that can go do it.
Do you know much about Zone 2 running?
No. What is Zone 2?
Oh my gosh, it's been a game changer for me. So you figure out your max heart rate, and basically it's split up into like 5 zones. So like most people run in Zone 3, and studies show that like running in Zone 3 has minimal improvement. So basically like almost like above anaerobic.
Yep.
The high end, where you can't have a conversation anymore. Running in
that's Zone 3.
When you're in Zone 3,
yep,
the improvements are minimal. But if you run in Zone 2, so lower heart rate, so it's a slow, like literally, like I'll be on a hill and I'll watch my heart rate and I have to walk up the hill to stay in Zone 2. I've got to a point where it's improved, so I don't have to do that anymore. But when I started, what happens is your base becomes faster and faster and faster. So literally, like a year ago, year and a half now, a 10-minute mile was Zone 2. What I'd average around here.
Yep.
I'm down to like 8:30. And
still in Zone 2.
So I'm at the same heart rate.
Yep.
So now that 8:30 is so much easier than it was before. That's so now cool. I can drop down to an 8, where it's amazing the improvements. Like I was on the treadmill. I did a lot of running on the treadmill last winter, and I could see the improvement just happening.
Yep. So when you say improvement, you mean time-wise or cardio, so like your actual like vascular?
Well, how much faster? So my heart rate, I'm keeping my heart rate at a certain maximum.
Yep.
And how much faster I'm going. And so then and like a lot of the high-end triathlon racers and stuff do most of their training in Zone 2. And they'll do Zone 4 or 5.
Yep. So
they'll do speed workouts or above race pace tempos.
Yep.
But they never train in 3, which is where most non.
But that's what they run in during the race?
Right. In race, you're running in 3. Right. You're pushing yourself at...
Yeah.
Right, but you're training either easier or harder.
Yep.
And the thing that's also made... So you asked me about running, like am I miserable? Well, since I've switched to kind of Zone 2, I'm not in an uncomfortable spot. I'm staying actually where I am comfortable.
Right.
So the run is actually much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, the first mile I don't enjoy, but it's something I can stay in for a long time. And then the improvements there, I'm blown away.
That's cool.
How much faster I've got. So like my half marathon time is so much faster or marathon time is, just.
So when you're running your marathons, you're in zone.
I'm not even worried about the zone at that point.
Could you have a conversation the whole time you're in a marathon?
No, not if I'm trying to go for a time.
Yeah.
Which a lot of times I'm not trying for a time. Like my goal has been to like every year be in better shape than I was last year.
Yep.
And I think I've achieved that for like 10 years now. And I keep trying to push that. Yeah. Because at some point it's going to go the other way, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah. So how are you gonna mentally deal with that?
I don't know. I'm terrified by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think about that too.
You're getting older.
I think about I started taking boxing classes, and then my wife and I started going together as like a date night. But one of the reasons I did it was like to switch up your workouts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can kick your ass as hard as you want or as little as you want. So it's really fun to, beat the crap out of yourself.
Right.
Because it's only an hour, and you're like a beginner learner. But I started thinking about like getting older, and like my daughter is 1, and I started thinking, she's gonna have a guy come to the house one day. What if he's huge? What if I can't beat him up? Like, I want to be able to beat this guy up. I want to be able to, and I'm like, at some point, I'm not going to be able to beat up my daughter's boyfriends. I know as dumb as that sounds, like, I'm like, how am I going to deal with that? I'm like, am I going to carry my gun every day with me? Like,
I'm so lucky that Evan, we love Evan. He's like we got so lucky with that Kaylin's with Evan and Logan's boyfriend, which we haven't met, but seems like a good kid. So I've been lucky there. But there was a point where there's a boy that lived up the street, Victor, and he'd come down here and play with Kaylin, and a couple of friends would play here. And I happened to be mowing the lawn with a shirt off, and it just happened to be I was in a good spot.
Yeah.
And so he'd be like, Kaylin's dad's jacked. It's like, let that rumor spread.
Yeah, tell all the other boys.
Light the fire, let it go.
Why is he mowing the lawn with a machete?
Yeah.
So much of who you surround yourself with is who you most likely will become.
Yeah. And hopefully you've done a good enough job earlier on.
Yeah.
But she was so much in it, like, the abusive cycle, like this was it was I don't recommend that to her.
That's tough. That's really tough.
So what's that?
Like I said, I remember my father-in-law was one of the people that told me before I was dating his daughter. He always told me and my brother-in-law Kobe, you guys gotta stick together. You gotta stick together. You gotta make sure you keep good friends. And he always made an effort to say that. And he was like, you're gonna grow up with kids. You're gonna lose friends. Kids are gonna die of overdoses. They're gonna get in car accidents. They're gonna drop out. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do that. And we were always like, not our group. We're all decent students. We're all good athletes. We're good kids. And sure enough, we've lost a handful of guys to drug overdose that you never would have thought, that would happen to. And it becomes that much more realistic once you have kids. And you're like, that makes you think that much more about who we want to come over to the house and who we're friends with as adults. It feels like you have less and less time for people that don't have the same goals as you or insight. Like, I never want to be, the smartest person in the room. You know what I mean? I always just want to be, surrounding myself around people that I think are cool and smart and can learn from. And, hopefully my kids make that right decision. But I don't know, as a dad, something about a dad and his daughter versus a dad and his son. I know as... Yeah.
Daddy's little girl is a real thing. I feel bad for anybody that hasn't experienced that, and you're just at the beginning of it because 3, 4, 5, like, they hang on you.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, I had 16 years of always being right on everything.
Yeah.
And like that, now I'm wrong on everything.
Yeah.
It's hard to that's hard to deal with.
Like, you used to love me.
We used to do group hugs every morning at the end of the driveway. Yeah. And they're still great. Things are good. I still get the love, but it's not. Yeah. It's not dad's everything anymore, and it's different.
Yeah, I bet it is different.
It's hard to.
I'm not ready to deal with that yet.
But daddy's little girl, that is the best thing in the world, though. It's funny because Dee will give me a hard time because before gender reveals were a big deal. Yeah. But when I found out Logan was a girl. Yeah. I was I couldn't hide it in my voice. I wanted a son. Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, I wouldn't change it. You know what I mean? It was just a brief moment, but my daughters are freaking awesome. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think because I didn't have a son, I raised him like I'd raise us. You know what I mean? I treated him like.
Well, they're your little buddy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, and I think they're maybe a bit more boyish than I would be, because you see and I apologize if you like this, but I think fathers that you have one of each, and the dad does the thing with the boys and mom does the thing with the girls. Yeah. Well, you're doing a disservice to your daughter. Yeah. You know what I mean? Raise them the same. Yeah. Have equal relationships on both, because it makes them better.
Yeah. 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 No, I agree. We bought our son a 4-wheeler for his three-year-old third birthday.
Right.
And my daughter, she might love it more than he does.
Right.
And so she'll like cry. I'll take them almost every day after work. I'll take them for a ride on the 4-wheeler, just in the yard, and she'll cry if we get off the 4-wheeler. And then sometimes if my son's sleeping, I'll just take her on the 4-wheeler and go. We both try to split up relationships with both.
Yeah.
Because you do by nature. We'll pack up the vehicle and go to camp for the weekend, and by nature, me and Knox are doing our own thing together, and Riley and Elodie are doing their own thing together. And we try to flip-flop that. We try to notice it and be like, hey, we got to like switch things up a bit.
Right. And I didn't have to think about that because all I had was daughters.
Right.
So I made them tough little girls.
Yeah. Our daughter's tough too, though,
Right.
just because she's used to Knox. I mean, that
Right.
kid is 100 miles an hour, and she's constantly like getting an elbow or a shoulder, most of the time by accident, just because he's running laps in the hallway and like playing with his guns and playing with his trucks, playing with dinosaurs, and she's just trying to keep up and trip and fall. She's way tougher than him already. Like he hits himself and he cries for 10 minutes. She just got a bloody nose on the carpet because she tripped over a dinosaur and like snot came out everywhere and everything, and she was good in like 2 minutes. Got like 4 out-of-state numbers.
Did you love that? So
my warranty's probably expired.
I was just gonna say that. So I don't even know how, like, you're safety director.
Yeah.
Of one of the safest, most dangerous types of companies there can be.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How'd you end up into safety director? Like,
shot in the dark. So I went to Hassan. I did the military thing, still in the military. I went and I sold insurance, and I did finance and life insurance for a couple of years for a couple different companies. Wore the suit and tie every day and hated it.
Right.
I hated it. I did it because I thought it was lucrative, and my sister and her husband did it, and they did well, and there was some money to be made, but I friggin' hated it. I really, there is a place for it. There's definitely a place for it.
Right.
But I didn't enjoy it. I literally woke up hating going to work, and then I was at work putting a fake smile on, and I hated it. And you said you think of me as a positive person. I didn't feel great about who I was and what I was doing, and it's a bad feeling. I wasn't proud when someone asked like what I did for work. I wasn't proud of what I was saying. So I've always been a proponent of, if you don't like something, go do something else. There's a difference between like doing something, quitting, and doing something and dragging on forever.
Right.
So I was just doing a Google search about a few other things, and I found this job, and I never even heard of NS Giles until I applied for it. So I applied for it. I didn't hear back. I put a suit on, and I went to the office, and Tracy was at the front desk, and I said, "Hey, my name's Kyle O'Connell. I have an appointment with HR, with Scott at the time." And she goes, "You do? You have an appointment?" And I said, "Yep." And I didn't. Yeah.
Wow.
And she goes, "Okay, I'll be right back." And so I sat on that little bench right there, and Scott came around the corner, and he was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I must have misplaced you on my calendar. I got a few minutes if you're ready right now."
Knowing Scott,
yeah,
he probably thought
yeah,
you had no idea.
I had no idea.
The best HR person to be pulling
I
that
had
trick
the
on.
right. He was probably like, "Oh wow, I messed up. This kid's here." So I went in, and I was like, "Hey, I applied for this job, and this is why I want it, and I feel like I do really good at it." And we talked for like 45 minutes, and he's like, "Yeah, I think you do a great job too." They brought me in for a second interview where I met Dale and Jamie, Shane, Jeanette, and then Scott. And right in the middle of the interview, Jeanette was like, "Hey, are you always this excited? And like, are you nervous right now?" And I was like, "I'm a little nervous. I just get kind of pumped up sometimes. I get a little excited." She's like, "Yeah, I see that." And I was like, "All right, I'll calm down a little bit." But I just get passionate when I was like selling myself, and I was excited to learn about the company, and that's why I thought I could do good in this position. And I thought I could do good in the position because I had worked in the construction field, and then I had the risk management side with insurance and finance. And I've always had a thing for safety guys where they're like this fat prick that is just like pointing at you, telling you you're doing something wrong.
Right.
And I've been on the other side of that where I could have just like throttled the guy. And I'm like, why are you even here? So I really had that in my mind the whole time. Like, I'm going to be different. I'm going to go lug panels. I'm going to tie rebar. I'm going to pour concrete. I'm going to get in there and work with these guys and show them that I know how to work and can work, and that I'm not going to ask them to do anything I wouldn't do. So I really just worked on building relationships. That safety culture was there before I got there.
Right.
Shane really understood the importance, for his people and for the dollar and longevity of the business,
Right.
that safety makes a difference.
Absolutely.
And so that culture was already built. So I really had that foundation, pun intended, was already built. I just had to go in there and improve it and take it. They needed someone with energy and someone that they didn't have to babysit to go in there and do it. And I really think what has made me successful in my position is being able to build relationships with every single person in that field and be able to communicate to them to their needs.
Right.
So if I'm talking to Chris Levesque, a superintendent, I'm going to talk to him differently than if I'm talking to a new hire that's in his first week. And I think that, go back to that professional communications class in college, being able to turn that switch depending on who I'm talking to so that they feel like I'm talking to them and I'm listening to them,
right.
and actually listening to them, not just playing the game, that has made a difference to them actually hearing what I'm saying and saying, I need to do it this way. I need to work this way, and this is why I'm doing it. One of the things I talk about, I don't know if you've heard me talk about it before, is, remember your why.
Oh,
and so I tell the guys in the field all the time, when we talk about fighting complacency and setting the ladder up the right way, or doing a lift plan for the crane the right way, rigging the right way, and actually thinking about doing it the right way. Remember, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this kinds of thing? For me, that clicked when I had kids. I know I keep saying it. Right. Everything clicked when I had kids. That's why I go to work every day. I don't go to work every day. I would find something else to do if I didn't need the money.
Right.
I would be a fisherman and a hunter, and I'd spend more time with my kids. But my why I go to work and why I do things safely is so I can provide for my family. So you really, you look someone in the eye and that's out there swinging a hammer every single day. Why are you doing that the right way? Are you doing it just to collect a paycheck, or does your family rely on you for that paycheck? So if you do something stupid and you fall because you didn't inspect your harness and you die, who's going to take care of your family? And that really resonates with people. So I feel like being able to really connect with people on all certain kinds of levels and communicate the message that you need to get across has helped improve this company, safety wise. And the other side of it is the nitty gritty, like the game side of it, case management, case by case.
Right.
So the way you deal with OSHA, the way you deal with workers' comp, that way we have directly seen the correlation between, what safety can do for a company versus other companies that don't have a safety program. So
what was that like when you got the job? And so now you have the responsibility of, I was trying to think about it today, like how, like I'm going to go do something around, or job sites back when I used to work construction, like the best construction guy was the guy that was willing to do these things that other people weren't, which is just stupid, dangerous stuff.
Yeah.
And then to have to be that person that there's a responsibility. If you don't do well at your job, people could die.
Right.
You know what I mean? That.
Yeah.
So what was it like when you get the job and you're thinking about what you have to, and you don't have, you've just kind of talked yourself into it.
Yeah.
But now you've got it.
Oh, and now I got it. Yeah, no, it was overwhelming for sure. But it was just another one of those times where, I started to diagnose everything and put it on the table, and it was just a new challenge. It was just a new challenge where I felt challenged, and I was like, this is exciting. I'm really excited to take on this challenge. And, I'm a big list guy. Every day I rewrite my list of things to do and cross out certain things. Try to do the small things and get a couple victories throughout the day, and then start tackling the bigger problems. So I just took that approach to this thing, and they've always been real good about, hey, this is the direction we want this thing to go, but we're open to ideas. If you have other ideas, we want you to, put all in, but, we want you to take it where you feel like we need to take it. So having that, not being micromanaged is huge for me, because I feel like if I'm micromanaged, then you're, holding my wings back, holding my wings down. But definitely, it's overwhelming almost every day for me.
Right.
Especially during the past year and a half of COVID, my phone. This weekend I will have a call or text about something to do with COVID. Someone's uncle's brother, cousins was a contact. Someone has COVID. Someone has the sniffles. It will go off 100%. My phone has not stopped. Monday through Sunday. There is something to do with COVID. I have never learned more about epidemiology I ever wanted
We
to.
get your emails and it just kind of has to dig through all that. You have to be a
It's disgusting.
virologist on top of a safety guy.
Yeah, which I don't know if I would still feel the same way about the current pandemic as I would if I was not as
Educated on it.
driven into it every single day.
Right.
Which is like, it's a very frustrating thing to deal with right now because my beliefs could be over here, but what I have to do for the company to keep the company working,
Right.
to deal with mandates and recommendations and restrictions are over here. So I definitely believe viruses are real. I definitely believe in viruses, but me and my family might have a more holistic approach to things.
Right.
We don't take ibuprofen every day just in case we get a headache.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I know exactly.
We try not to take ibuprofen if we have a headache.
Right.
We try to drink water or turn the lights off or put our phone away or go for a walk or something. And we try to teach our kids the same way.
And be healthy.
And be healthy. That is, if you look back to the pandemic, in the very beginning of the pandemic where we had 15 days to slow the spread and then it was, 3 months to cure whatever. What if we took 3 months or 6 months and the federal government said, hey everybody, we've got this free health and wellness program for the entire country. These are some free tips and tricks and we want everybody to do it. So every morning you do this and you can eat these foods and we're going to provide these fruits and vegetables to everybody, or we're going to provide these fitness programs for everybody. If we did that and the entire country lost a few pounds, we would be a healthier nation.
Yeah.
And obesity is the number one factor in just about all deaths.
Right. Yeah.
So if we held a little responsibility and held each other to a little more self-responsibility or self-accountability for just obesity, just straight obesity, which brings me to my next thing, like the FDA being God about what is good and what is bad. The amount of sugar that we have in foods, just in comparison to European countries that aren't allowed. Why do we have, I think it's like 58 grams of sugar per serving in ketchup.
You hear Subway has to, I want to say Australia, can't call their bread. They have to call it cake.
It's disgusting.
It's so much sugar, they have to call it cake.
It's disgusting. Like Subway's tuna that isn't tuna. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Maybe it's fish, maybe it's not.
And Subway's probably the better option between McDonald's or whatever. But
Yeah.
the French fries and stuff. But
Yeah, horse meat and Burger King. But I just believe that I believe in medicine for sure, and I believe in vaccines. I don't believe in insurance companies having the say of when vaccines are.
Right.
I'm dealing with that with kids right now. And one example is the Hep B vaccine. I went and took my kid to the pediatrician, and I always ask questions. And I feel like they feel like I'm an anti-vaxxer just because I'm asking questions. And I always try to be super polite and super friendly and super smiley when I'm asking because I don't want them to feel defensive because they're just doing their job.
Right.
And I asked about the Hep B vaccine. They were getting ready to give my son a Hep B vaccine. And I was like, what do you need the Hep B vaccine for? And they said a few things, and then they just printed off a pamphlet. And they gave me the pamphlet. And I'm reading through the pamphlet, and it talked about gay sex, and it talked about exposure to blood from other people that have hepatitis B.
Right.
And I looked at them, I said, why do 3-year-olds need this Hep B? And they're like, well, it says right on the sheet, potential of gay sex and blood exposure. And I said, well, my son's 3. I said, he's not going to be having sex with any sex for a long time. And I really don't think he's going to be exposed to blood from another person that has Hep B.
Right.
And I was like, is there another reason that we would do it now? Well, we don't want to forget. We don't want to forget and not have it in his chart when he's older. I said, can't we just put it in the records that he didn't get it when he was 3 and he can get it later, when his immune system's a little bit bigger? And, they looked at me like I had 4 eyes. And I was like, no, we're not going to get it right now. We'll get it later. We're not going to get it right now. If those are your 2 reasons as to why you need the Hep B vaccine, my son's not having gay sex when he's 3 years old.
Right.
And they look at you weird when you say that, but I'm like, it says it in the pamphlet you just gave me, So those kinds of things I just question. I'm always skeptical of for-profit things when there's a negative situation. I'm against it. Obviously these massive pharmaceutical companies. So there's 3 or 4 major pharmaceutical companies in the world are making a ton of money. They're making a ton of money off this. So you should be able to be skeptical about that. And then if you and you always sound like a conspiracy theorist, and you get shamed about it. But you're allowed to follow the money. If you look at what pharmaceutical companies fund media companies and fund political campaigns, and then what lobbyists are funding other political campaigns.
Well, isn't that why cholesterol got a bad rap, because the sugar
Yes.
industry paid off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eggs.
Right.
Too much cholesterol in eggs.
Right. There's too much money in sugar.
There's money in sick people. There's
Right.
a lot of money in sick people. Look at I don't even know, are we allowed to say about other companies, but like Abbott Laboratories, they produce insulin, and they also produce children's, it's either children's cough syrup or it's children's this children's medicine, but it has a pile of sugar in it,
Right.
a ton of sugar in
Right.
it. So you're creating insulin for diabetic children, but you're creating this other product that's loaded with sugar.
Right, which is probably going
And I'm like,
to... You see the cycle there.
like,
They're
I don't-
creating future clients.
right, like 2 and 2 put together. You look at a bag of Doritos, you look at all this stuff. It's like, this entire pandemic, we had an opportunity to educate the rest of the country on how to eat healthy and how to work out and how to. If the rest of the country went for a walk and cut down on a bag of Doritos,
Right.
we would be a healthier nation.
And I don't know how it didn't... Like, I was in pretty good shape. And the pandemic hit. I was like, I need to be in better shape.
Yeah,
That's immediately where my mind went to.
Yeah.
Have you seen Kevin lately?
he lost a ton of weight.
Oh my gosh. I went to a field hockey game. He was there.
Yep.
I pull in. He's standing in front of my vehicle looking at me. I'm like, man, that guy looks familiar. And he's looking and he waves. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Kevin. He's talking to me. I'm still looking at him like, I don't even recognize this guy.
That's
I think I want to have him on just to
Yeah, Kevin's an awesome guy.
find out about like how he did it. But I don't know how more people didn't take that approach. Like,
Yeah.
this is killing obese people, and we knew that quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, what was it,
And-
78%?
It's something stupid. Yeah. Like, it's never talked about.
No.
It's crazy to me.
No.
Yeah. So, so you come in as a safety guy, and it's your first real experience in this,
Mhm.
and now you have, there's like a national, you're speaking or something like.
Yeah, so-
our companies.
Yeah, we just got second place in a national award for our division, which was really cool. There was a bunch of companies out there, and it was a AGC of America competition, Construction Safety Excellence Award is what it was, and it's a national. We won, the state of Maine won, and so you get invited to go compete to the national level. And there was companies out there with 10,000 plus employees with 5 million man hours, and they had 100 safety directors, and they own the Pacific West and the Southeast and the Northeast, and they're everywhere, and they're just huge. They make Chinbro look small.
Right.
And then so you had to put on a presentation in front of a judges panel, a 5-minute presentation with a 10-minute question and answer, and it was about your safety program and why you're the best. And on the panel, which I didn't know, you don't know who's on the panel until you get there, and I was the very first presenter, which I was actually really glad to be the first presenter, to get it over with.
I was always that way in speech class.
Yeah, get it over with. And so it was an owner's rep from Google, a VP from Boeing, a VP from Sims Crane, the president of Willis Towers Watson, and then the president of AGC Health and Safety of America. 5 dudes that are super squared away,
Right.
super educated, super knowledgeable, and they know their stuff, and they know it better than you. So I'm up there and did our presentation, and then they asked me some questions, and they all asked great, challenging, thought-provoking questions. And in my head, I'm thinking, I have so much more to share about our company, and I'm trying to just narrow it down to answer, why we're the best at certain things. And one of the things I said was, for the line of work that we do, for the amount of risk we're exposed to, for us to have the safety records that we have is unmatched to anybody else here.
Right.
We're not a general contractor that has one carpenter that's on site to build a set of stairs or to plug a hole or to unclog a drain. So that's what those general contractors do. Their liability, physical liability, is next to zero. They have insurance liability, but their actual physical liability is, basically zero.
Right.
And I think that hit with them for a little bit. And I felt really good about the presentation. I'm knowledgeable in what I was presenting,
Right.
and I was passionate about it. And I feel pretty confident speaking in front of people.
Right.
So I did that, and it was fun. And then I got to sit in on other presentations and listen to these other companies. And I learned so much from these other companies. And they are some really squared away organized, data-based companies that they're tracking data that we haven't even started to track in the state of Maine. Nor do we necessarily have to track as much data as they're doing, just because our man hours aren't as you're talking 5 million man hours, and we're at 225, 235,000.
Right.
But I was still super proud of where our company's at, where we've been, where we've gotten the past couple of years, and super proud that Shane and Jeanette sent me and my wife down to Florida to go compete for it, and then still have some vacation time for ourselves. So super grateful for that. And then they had these happy hour events at the end of the night where everybody takes their guard off, and I'm mingling with multi-millionaire presidents of companies and VPs and the Google rep and all these people, and I'm just trying to funnel in information from all these people. And that was probably the coolest part of the entire trip, is talking to these super successful people, or what I consider super successful people, and they talk just like anybody else was, and they're talking about their kids, and they're talking about the football game, and they're talking about this, and they're out there drinking beer or having a vodka, and they're having a good time. And I'm just watching them, how they interact with people, and you sit there and you're like, that guy's super successful. What makes him different from everybody else? And just the way they carry themselves in public, whether they're drinking a beer or whether they're just shooting the shit, they're tall and they're confident, and they speak, they're not just saying words, they're actually saying things with meaning, and everything they're talking about, they clearly know what they're talking about. Right. So I just was picking up stuff like that, and I was like, this is a cool environment for me to be in. I was definitely the little fish, which I also enjoy being, and it was neat. I talk about not being the smartest person in the room. I was probably the dumbest person in the room, in the whole hotel lobby, but it was fun. It was a really good trip.
And do you allow yourself to pat yourself on the back a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're kind of kicking ass at what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm proud of where we are. I still see, I set new goals every year, and but I definitely see where we've taken the company. Yeah. Statistically, you can look at it, and then
it's really cool to have the support of Shane and Jeanette.
That is priceless.
Yeah,
that is priceless. I don't have a budget. If I feel like we need something, I'll put together a presentation and I'll sit them down and say, hey, I think this is what we need to do and this is why. And he's never said no. Right. And to me, that's a guy that genuinely cares about his employees. Those hard hats we just bought, that was $15,000 purchase.
Wow.
Based on not a hunch. There's data behind it, but it's like, hey, I think these would do better for us. I think these would really work. And paired with having to mask up on certain jobs, I was like, this is a necessity for us. Hey, if you think it's the right thing to do, let's do it. There's not many bosses out there that are going to spend $15,000 on a safety item that is not a necessity. Right. To me, that stuff right there makes me want to work 10 times harder. If he wanted me to run through a brick wall, I'd find a way to run through the brick wall.
So I got one final thing. So, my challenge to myself is to answer this different each time, which I'm already running out of answers. But what gives you hope for the future?
That's a good question.
And I'll give you my answer.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm on my third one, and I'm kind of. We've already kind of talked about this. My offspring are so much better than I am. Yeah. If everybody's doing what I'm doing, we're definitely ahead of a good path. But they give me so much hope for the future. Yep. That's my hope. Yep. And I've had my father's answer was, I asked him this question, and I want positive things, and he starts talking about all the negativity. I'm like, what are you doing, Dad? Yeah. And he's like, well, things have swung so far out that they have to come back. I'm like, oh, that's it.
I like that.
That was a good one.
I like that. Those are two good ones.
Yeah. I can't remember JT's, but what gives you hope for the future?
What gives me hope for the future? One thing that, obviously this country's in a little bit of a crisis right now, and people are on edge, walking on eggshells. But there will always be more good people than bad people in the world. And I consistently tell myself that.
Right.
And I think that those good people are going to continue to reproduce and make more good people. So I think that gives me hope for the future. Right. So when I do worry about raising kids, I worry about social media, I worry about our freedom, I worry about rights, I worry about politics, I worry about violence, crime, all that stuff. But then I remember, there's other people out there. If my house was on fire, I bet you a passerby would stop to make sure that my family's safe, as I would do the same. So there's a lot of good people out there.
I think face to face, most people are genuinely kind.
Yeah.
And they try, for the most part.
Yeah.
And I do think as you get to the bigger cities, which I think is why both of us are attracted to Maine, like as you get more dense population, you start to lose perspective on other humans.
Yeah.
They're just people, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
In general, people want, I think most people think that they're doing the right thing. They're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not doing it in the right way.
Yeah.
But they're trying, yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll be all right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this, Kyle.
Hey, this is cool. I'm also, I want to tell you, I'm proud of you for how you challenge yourself on so many things. I feel like it's easy for you to challenge yourself with physical things because that's what you know and that's what you do.
Right.
And you're obviously more of an introvert than an extrovert. I'm an extrovert. And so for you to challenge yourself to do a podcast like this is wicked cool. And you should be proud of yourself.
I'm trying to challenge myself. It's something that's on my mind a lot. Like,
Yeah.
why am I taking this parking spot that's close to the store? Let's take the farther.
Love that. Love that.
Like,
My wife and I do that.
Like in every that you speak. I gotta say this. So you're talking about like if we had a program. Well, what if everybody just started parking farther away?
Yeah.
Imagine how much weight. I was listening to who's the kind of heavy guy in Remember the Titans, and he's lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah, he was in like Boy Meets World and
right.
Yeah.
He said he started off just walking around his car. I'd do a lap around my car.
Yep.
It started like that, and he goes, "No, I'm going to do 2 laps, just a little bit more. It doesn't take much more."
Yeah.
Yeah. But the challenging myself,
Yeah.
and I appreciate you saying that because
Yeah.
this is exciting. Like public speaking, I actually enjoy.
Yep.
I love the nerves of it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the build up to it.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm gonna love when I finally get into hunting. Like that same kind of. They all start to tie together, and I feel like if I park in the farthest way, I feel like more of a badass.
Yeah. Yeah. And it feels nice
It does.
to walk.
Yeah, and even if it's raining, which sometimes I cave on that, or if it's too cold.
And you just like walk with a straight face. Look like you just killed someone.
But I know, all those every one of those little challenges where I kind of challenge myself and then I do it.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always feel good after you challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Just like when you don't want to work out and then you finish your workout, the end of that workout feels 10 times better than when you're motivated to work out.
Absolutely.
Because you're like, I just did one the other day with my wife. She was like, I just got home, it was like a late night at work, and she's like, hey, I'm going to do a 20-minute HIIT workout. You want to do one with me? And I was like, yeah, I do. And then I did it, and I was like, thank you for asking me. I feel so much better after. Now I'm going to go eat my chips and hummus.
I tell you, the sauna, that's my real suffering. That thing kicks we go 178 degrees and we try to do a half hour.
Good for you.
And it's...
That must feel so nice, though.
But there's a point, the first 15, 20 minutes, awesome.
Yeah.
Just great.
Yeah.
And the sweat's going, it feels good. But then it's like, my heart's beating so fast, am I going to die? Like your brain starts to go, it's like,
Yeah.
like
Am I going to get trapped in here?
I can't breathe. I can't get comfortable. And you start to like have this, literally have panic attacks.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever had a panic attack, but I want to imagine one.
Yeah.
And I get out, I'm like, man, I was such a sissy.
Yeah.
But it's nice to challenge myself all the time.
Yeah.
It's cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Yeah, you got it, man.